Ba-da-ba-da-da-da. Hey, welcome to Kocosports WWE Monday Night Raw review. I am the huge one, Dave Coco from Kocosports.com or Kocosports.net. It takes you to the same place, KOCOsports.net. It's your home for combat sports. It's where the world comes to kick ass, and above all, it's where it's okay to be a passionate fan. This is our Monday Night Raw review. As always, we ask you, win, loss, or tie, what did you think of it? And I have a special tag team partner, a special guest, and I keep using the word special because it is Wrestling Rantin, but this is the regular co-host job, Wrestling Rantin. I'm gonna completely. I might have not given all the details. I am officially burnt out.
Swerve.
Like, no, I don't know if it's a swerve. It's just honesty. Like, I'm burnt out. Like, this is the first time in a long time. I don't know if it was TLC, didn't live up to expectations. I don't know if it was the announcement of main event and SmackDown are both live tomorrow, and then there's a show on Wednesday. I don't know what it is, but it was one of those things where when it comes to my win, loss, or tie, I don't know what to honestly give because I was burnt out. Like, it could have been a great show. I mean, I'm sure you do wrestling reviews. You have to be burnt out sometimes, right?
I was burnt out last night for many reasons about wrestling last night. It really took its toll on my sanity.
Yeah, well, and it's not like I don't think the show was bad. I honestly just didn't care, and it was one of those things. I don't think it was the WWE's fault. I don't know what you thought. That's why I want to go win, loss, or tie. I want to go with your vote, and I also want to hear what the Internet Infantry says because I was burnt out. There was Paul Heyman. I love Paul Heyman. There was Jericho. I couldn't give a shit. Like I felt. Not that I've ever felt this way before, but I felt like an impotent wrestling fan. Like, they were giving me what I wanted, and I'm just like, I'm not in the mood. Not in the mood tonight, WWE. Just not in the mood. That's how I felt. So, Wrestling Rantin, you're not here as a guest. You are here as a host.
Oh, yes. I am hosting tonight. Thanks, Booms.
Yeah. So, Wrestling Rantin, I guess we have to have win, loss, tie, and because of NXT, we had perfect. So NXT was a perfect show. Then there's win, loss, tie. And then if you're just so burnt out that you're like, I'm not even negative or positive. Like, Boom, I'm stealing a line from Boom Boom. Boom Boom's at his real job. It's when your joy becomes a J-O-B. You don't know how many times on the Internet Infantry chat, you don't know how many times on, to my editor, I asked how much more time was left. And when they said 2 hours, 1 hour, 45 minutes, I was like, oh my God, I don't get paid enough for this. And I normally am not that fan. I'm the guy who says, oh, it's okay to be a passionate fan. Dude, tonight, it could have been a 5-star show. It wasn't there for me, man. And like, not even the negativity, because usually when you're sitting there, you're like, oh, stupid John Cena. Oh, stupid booking. Like, that wasn't even there for me. I'm just like, 2 more hours, 1 more hour, 45 more minutes. And the problem is, maybe I just got too many projects going on. So, Wrestling Rantin, I am a complete wreck. I'm going for you for the hot tag. What did you think? Did you think perfect, win, loss, tie, or you like me, just burnt out?
I need to get my camera up because I'm misdowing you right now, actually. But for me, I have to say, and I had to put on my honestly hat today. And honestly speaking, it was a slight, very, very slight win. And the only reason it got a slight win was because Jericho segments were good, and Brock Lesnar. I mean, I'm an MMA fan, so Brock Lesnar. I'm a Brock Lesnar fan first and foremost. But so I mark out for him anytime he shows up. So for me, it was a slight win for those 2 reasons.
Can we talk about Brock first? You're the host. I'm asking you.
Yes, you can on your show.
All right. We're gonna go a little bit out of order tonight, just because even though I was burnt out, it's safe to say Brock Lesnar was the biggest headline going into the show. Is that safe to say coming out of the show?
Yeah, definitely.
I know this is going to get me some heel heat, but I really believe this. Brock Lesnar doesn't get paid enough. I know. Send the hate mail to Wrestling Rantin, YouTube.net.
No.
The reason I say he doesn't get paid enough, all right, it sounds crazy because, you know, part-timer, he has the title, he's left. All right, I'm going to tell you why. He shows up. What were they chanting before Brock Lesnar shows up? They were chanting CM Punk. They were chanting NXT.
Yes.
There was an NXT is better sign.
Yes.
This Detroit was shitting on the product as best as they could. He comes in, just does his little boom boom dance, not Boom Boom our co-host, but Boom Boom from Mario Brothers. If you ever played Super Mario Brothers Wii U, and you know the Boom Boom character, that's Brock Lesnar. He's doing the boom boom dance. So he does his dance, and that's all he does. And they're like, this is awesome. Then he beats the hell out of Jericho, and he does something the whole roster can't do. It starts a Cena chant in Detroit.
Yep.
In Detroit. Now, you might give me heel heat, but WWE's main goal, Wrestling Rantin, I think we don't agree on much, but I think we can agree on this. WWE as a corporation's main goal is to make John Cena a superstar.
Money, but yeah, that would be second for me. I think money is the first thing for them.
I don't think so. I think they would lose money to put Cena number one. I think they're just.
Well,
they
are.
It's just there's no facts. We can have different opinions. I thought there was something we could agree on. I honestly think that they would rather lose ratings and money to be proven right that John Cena's a star. Especially since it was Stephanie McMahon's chosen one. I think.
All right, you put it that way, I can agree with that, yeah.
All right, well, money or Cena can go hand in hand. He's the best because he makes the most money. But no one could get him over. And Brock Lesnar did. That was a hostile Detroit crowd, and people were chanting for Cena. If I was Brock Lesnar, I am not by size, talent, skill. There's nothing in me Brock Lesnar have in common. But if I was him, I would go in the back and be like, I need a raise. And I know he probably gets paid a shitload of money as a part-timer. I'd be like, I want to get paid more. Yeah. Because, am I wrong? Am I the asshole here that thinks Brock Lesnar should get a raise? No one else could get Cena over. No one else could just show up, do the boom-boom dance, and people are like, this is awesome.
Well, you know, that's funny because it's kind of, you know, there's a lot of complaining about him being a part-timer and not being on. Now, granted, my opinion on that is that I think the WWE backed themselves into a corner, by having a pay-per-view called Night of Champions after SummerSlam, so you had to have the championship on there. I think if they had stretched it out to Survivor Series, it wouldn't have seemed like such a big space between Cena and Lesnar. That being said, though, because we haven't seen him so often, when he showed up tonight, it was a huge fucking deal, which is kind of their point. But I'm somewhere in the middle on that. I think he should be around more, but I see their point of him not being on every week. It's much more impactful. I think he should get – I don't know if he should get paid more because $5 million is a lot of money to do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches and about 5 matches and 10 appearances. I mean, that's a lot of
Can I be Jerry Maguire for a second?
It's $1 million per match.
Oh, I know. Can I be Jerry Maguire / Paul Heyman?
Yeah.
My client got a hostile Detroit crowd to chant, "You're golden boy." Can anyone on your roster do that?
Maybe your boy Rusev, but
yeah,
that's still out.
That's probably going to be saved for Mania.
Yeah. Well, if it looks like I wouldn't be surprised. Well, we'll get to that later. We'll talk about the show.
All right. We will be going to live comments. Please put win, loss, or tie. All right, hold on. Timeout. There's only one thing that I'm more burnt out on than this Monday Night Raw, but we'll do it. They want us. Now, granted, this ain't going to be a strong debate, Wrestling Rantin, just because I don't have a dog in the fight.
Dear Lord, here we go.
They want us to debate if Bray Wyatt's being buried. And, I think they want me to be the hero and come and save and defend, but here's the problem. I'm burnt out on the whole topic. So
I'm burnt on it.
We'll save it to the very end. We'll save it to the very end.
I'm burnt out on that after yesterday too. And to this morning, I've said my piece on it. But for your fans, for the internet infantry, I will be play heel tonight, and we'll get to that later. But anyway,
I think in their head they're picturing this great showdown, and then at the end of the show, it's going to be like buried gate. Who's right? Who's wrong? And me and Wrestler Rantin like,
I don't really care anymore. But anyway, let's kick this off. I'm gonna do booms now.
All right, you got the role of Boom Boom.
I'm not quite the sexiest man on the internet like Booms is because he's a sexy beast. But speaking of his sexy beast, tonight opening WWE's Monday Night Raw was the sexy beast himself, the Ayatollah of rock and roller, Chris Y2J Jericho, the Millennium Man himself, shows up. He soaks up the reception before he gives his usual Raw is Jericho line. He thanks everyone for his slammy and says he's going to make the show about them. Now, he went on because the week before he won a slammy Fandango. I feel like I'm taking a dump every time I say his name like that, but Fandango had absconded with Jericho's slammy last week, so Jericho was going to get it back this week. And using a Queen song, Jericho calls out Fandango, but instead he gets Heyman Hustle. So Heyman Hustle comes to the ring. They have some stuff about $200 from the ECW days. I'm going to fast forward to this.
As an ECW fan, I did pop for that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if the younger generation, the 41-year-old demographic, but no, the younger generation of fans, I don't think they popped for that ECW reference as much as we do.
Yeah, they have no clue. But and it's not their fault. I'm just saying that they weren't around then. We're old, so so Heyman and Jericho get into it a little bit. Heyman brings up Seth Rollins and how he failed to beat John Cena, which, of course, this is a Raw opening segment, so we have to have 15 minutes of people being introduced through conversation. So Seth Rollins comes out with JJ's The Stooges. Rollins gets in his face and tells him to say whatever he wants to say to his face. Heyman gets a little nervous, backs up, goes to the corner, but then Rollins talks about how he feels he was screwed out of his victory by the new Golden Boy, Roman Reigns. Ooh, the intrigue, the plot thickens. So Rollins calls out Cena. Cena comes out. I wish I could. They won't let me play my Cena music anymore on YouTube. But imagine.
Oh, really? You got knocked on that, huh?
Yeah, they knocked me on it. But
maybe I can record you my version, my remix. No, it's da-da-da. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. So Cena comes out, and I'll say this, and this is probably going to get me heel heat. Cena actually did not piss me off tonight. He did not. Now, at the end of his segment, he has some good and some bad in this promo. I liked him a little bit more aggressive than his usual jokes, but then the lame-ass jokes came, and he started going, gee, I wonder who here could book me a match between Seth Rollins, and, Jericho plays along with it and everything.
Did you not feel bad for Lionheart? I mean, was there a part of you that your childhood or our teenage years was dying in the ring? I mean, I just want to pause that picture of him joking with John Cena and be like, you were the chosen one. You were Lionheart. You were supposed to make this happen. A part of me died. I'm not going to lie. A part of me died.
Yeah, going along to get along.
Yeah. And one thing I got to say is I am probably the biggest John Cena hater on the internet, maybe top 3. Yeah. I really don't enjoy John Cena. With that said, if there is an us, the internet infantry, Cena haters versus John Cena, if there's a war between haters and John Cena, I have to be honest. John Cena won that war tonight.
Yeah, well, a little bit.
He had the crowd behind him. He was somewhat serious. Had a pretty decent match. Built up to a pay-per-view. I'm saying if you're a pro Cena guy, you could celebrate a little bit tonight. I am not a pro Cena guy, so I am fucking sadly depressed. But you can't see pro Cena guys out there fucking high-fiving each other tonight.
Oh, they don't know the damn difference anyway. And yeah, he did something. Yeah, they wouldn't know a good match or a good promo if it bit him on the ass. Clearly, but I would say though he didn't. He had the crowd at some points, but then during that Rollins match, there was a decided "Let's go Rollins" chant there later on. But he got into it. He did his jokes. Rollins, they set up a match for later in the night in the obvious steel cage that's hanging above the ring. So then we go on to Rollins making jokes about Jericho not being in shape, and he couldn't beat the concession stands man. I did like Jericho's joke about, well, the concessions guy, he's a ninja, so I can't beat. So
yeah, that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, that was a good one. That's how you do jokes, John Cena. And meanwhile, Heyman's in the corner, just kind of either half being amused. I can't really tell with him if he's half amused or he's just sitting there to himself like, boy, this is shit. But he gets into it because Rollins says Jericho can't beat Paul Heyman. So then Jericho gets the idea of, I'm going to have a match with Paul Heyman tonight. Paul Heyman's kind of backing out of it, but no, Jericho's the GM for the night. So we have a second main event, sub-main event, Chris Jericho versus Paul Heyman coming on later in the evening. So what did you think about this, man?
My first reaction, not knowing what's gonna take place, my first reaction was like, why the fuck am I still watching this shit? And that was my first reaction. I like Paul Heyman and I like Jericho, but I was like, I have no interest in that whatsoever. It didn't hit on me, because some people are like, oh, I predicted this and that. It didn't hit on me that Brock could be coming back. I just thought it was going to be like a 5-10 minute comedy match, and I was like, oh. And then when John Cena says, oh, we're going to have the rematch tonight, and he's doing his bad jokes, there was no... Yeah, and I'm saying what I felt at the time, because, people always are geniuses after it happened. But what I felt at the time was, who gives a shit? He's going to win. You know what I mean? Like, I was in a dark place of not giving a shit, to be honest. But they did improve from what I thought was going to happen, and that doesn't happen often. So, way to go, WWE. You didn't suck as bad as I thought you were going to suck. That should be a Hallmark card. Can we send that to the fruit basket?
Yeah, that's about my... like I said, Cena didn't annoy me tonight, so that he didn't suck. Totally. So that's, for him, a win in my book. After the opening segment, we get the graphic announcing our first match of the night, which... usually, but not tonight maybe, is the best match of the night. We have Dolph Ziggler and Eric Rowan teaming up against Luke Harper and The Big Show, the new 4-time Intercontinental Champion Dolph Ziggler. We also get noted that, we got to plug the app, that you can choose WWE Universe what kind of match that Jericho and Paul Heyman are going to have. It could be A, the Extreme Rules match, B, a no-holds-barred match, or C, the Street Fight, or D, which basically is all the choices, all of the above, because they're the same damn match. But anyway, Jesus Christ.
I mean, my whole thing is, like, why not have a real selection? Because, like, me, I'm real lazy. I just haven't downloaded the app because of pure laziness. But if, like, it was a legit poll and a legit question, I'd be like, all right, I'm going to do it. I'll download the app. You know what I mean? I'm not doing it, like, just because, oh, John Cena, I hate John Cena, I hate WWE. It's just out of pure laziness. I'm like, oh, I could download that app, but no, I'm not going to. But if you had it where, like, there was a legit, like, poll or something entertaining, then maybe I would go. But then again, it's also, too, do you even trust WWE for those votes counting?
Nah. But if you want a legit poll, you can always go to surveymonkey.com/s/2014 best and worst and vote for the best and worst of 2014. Cheap pop, cheap plug. Anyway, so we moved on with the show, and Ziggler and Harper, they have a pretty good match. I'm going to get on the high points of it. Of course, they took a commercial in the middle of the match, which always sucks. But near the end, Harper tagged in Ziggler, who starts to mount a comeback. He gets to Rowan and Big Red. And this starts becoming a beating on his former partner. The two former Wyatt guys go at each other. Meanwhile, Big Show gets the tag. But he gets taken down by a spin kick from Harper, which I actually think is one of his better moves, who gets taken out by Ziggler outside the ring. They both do a calamity fall over the top of the announce table. Unfortunately, they didn't knock Michael Cole out like they did the night
Did you see
before.
that? I saw the GIF of that, or the GIF. I don't know how you say it, but Michael Cole's big bump at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, that was the only thing I applauded John Cena for. He at least he knocked out Michael Cole for about 5 minutes, so that was cool. But it turns out that Rowan, of course, turned to face the Big Show, who is the next person to be fed to somebody we'll mention later, and got the knockout punch. Big Show gets the win. Show and Harper win the match. So then after that, we go backstage to see Rosa and Fandango. Jericho and Fandango have an interaction. He tells Fandango that when he's done with Heyman, he will come back and take it. So what did you think about this opening match and the segment with Fandango and Jericho?
The opening match was a really good house show match. Like, that's what it felt like. The problem with WWE that I have right now, as a fan, I'm speaking as a fan. I know that's bad to talk like a fan on YouTube, but, you know, if everyone's in the business, no one's in the business. I just made 30,000 fucking YouTubers cry. But as a fan, my biggest problem with a lot of these matches, and I'm speaking as a fan, it feels like they don't matter. Like, even though it could be a great tag team match, who wins and loses, what goes on for the feud, doesn't feel like it matters. And I think you have to change that because, like, let's just look at NXT, which we're very high on NXT, by the way.
Yes.
But let's look at NXT. Every match feels important. Every match feels like there's a purpose. Lucha Underground, every match feels important. Ring of Honor, the main events on television and their pay-per-view feel important. You know, they have a couple matches that don't feel that important, you know. New Japan, it feels like every match is important. As a fan, I want WWE to concentrate on making me believe matches are important. Because as a fan, does it really matter who wins that tag match? Nothing happens. Nothing. And I think that's the problem with Raw, where NXT, I don't know if it's the announcing, I don't know if it's the smaller roster, the shorter shows, I don't know the booking, but speaking as a fan, NXT, almost every single match feels important. On this Raw, did any of these matches feel important as a fan? You know, you could be like, well, you carry the 7 into Kevin Nash and you sell T-shirts. No. Let's focus on being a fan. As a fan, did it feel like any of this match was important? And as far as the promo goes, I'll let you answer. I was just talk about this promo real quick.
Yep.
As far as this promo goes, someone in the chat, I think it was Franielli, if I'm mentioning the wrong internet infantry member, I apologize. But in the chat, someone said, why didn't he just take the trophy then? Like, why didn't he just take the Slammy now? He's like, you know, I one time, when I was like in maybe 6th, 7th grade, there was this real athletic kid named Trent. I don't know how to use his real name. But Trent Davis. We were best friends. And he was a jerk, and I wanted to fight him, but I couldn't beat him. So, like, I wanted to fight him, but I didn't want to fight him. That's what this felt like. It felt like 6th grade Trent Davis all over again. Like, hey, I want to fight you, but you will kill me, so let's just keep it with words. It really felt like a 6th grade, 7th grade little boy afraid to fight. Why did he, you know, he's like, I'm going to whoop your ass, you know, after, you know, I do that thing. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, I get that a little bit. I mean, for obvious plot points that come up later, I guess that's why they didn't do it then. And maybe they're going to extend this into the future. I don't know if Jericho's back. I think this was a one-time thing, but I don't know why they think there's money with Jericho and Fandango, but that's another story. My thoughts on the opening match is okay. It wasn't great. Like you said, it doesn't really mean anything, so it was kind of a nothing match anyway. The backstage segment was entertaining because I like Jericho, so it's always a plus when he's on screen. So
yeah, I'm a huge fan of Jericho, but is it just me? And I love Jericho. He's maybe my fave 5 of all time, and we have to bring back the fave 5 show. But Jericho is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. He's so over in Japan. That's where I live. Everyone loves him. There's more Jericho fans than Cena fans in
Everywhere.
in Japan. Well, especially in Japan. And I'm saying all ages, even kids, like high school and all that. So everyone loves Jericho, but is it just me, or does it feel like he's just not the same person? Like it's like your hero selling out, and it's not like even being a heel. Like if he's a heel and we hate him, all right, whatever, hey, that's your job. But it doesn't. I don't know. It's just like we love you, but it's time to go. Well, like where's Joe Rogan on this one? That's an MMA reference. I don't.
Yeah. I get it.
But where's Joe Rogan? Someone needs to call Chris Jericho and be like, yeah, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time. Just because one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and he's just losing stock like crazy. And it's not heel heat. It's, it's one of those, come on, bro. You're one of my favorites. All right, do you have anything else to add? Because I'm going to go to some live comments before we go to the next segment.
Nope, head on to the live comments.
All right, I'm going to try to go quick, so cut me off. Quincy C, holy shit, I made it. Congratulations. I love how some people are like, I fucking hate you, and then some people are like, I made it live. There's just totally different reactions. He also goes on, also, the show was a complete loss for me. Everything was boring, and most of the stories weren't that interesting. Mr. The King says, I really don't give a shit about this Raw at all, but I think I'll give it a tie. I think that's a pity tie. Mr. The King also goes, Cena was talking so much shit about Rollins not being able to pin him, but of course Rollins didn't pin him, which would have been a mini achievement for him, in my opinion. Well, the good thing is our Kocosports internet title, this is the last show for fantasy sports, and the end of the year, Rollins is our champion and not Cena, and that made me happy. Fantasy sports can make you happy when your fucking team sucks. Justin Stever says, did you notice that there was no mention of NXT's Revolution tonight? Yeah, WWE is at Civil War. It's NXT versus Raw. Yeah. I just think it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It's like I'm picking a high school thing or a college thing. I used to be a teacher, but it's like the seniors getting, beat by the freshmen. Who's going to brag about that at, senior prom?
Yeah, but you know what about that? And anybody in the Infinite Infantry who goes to WWE shows, please keep that up. Continue to chant NXT at Raw shows when the show sucks. So they need to hear it. They need to hear it loud and clear. That's the best way we can do anything to affect any kind of change in any way whatsoever. They don't listen to us. They don't listen to us. McMahon says, well, if it's the critics, I don't listen to the critics, Steve. I only listen to our fans. This is entertainment.
If you believe that, I will show you a pay stub.
Daniel Bryan. I'll just say that.
Yeah. They listen to critics, because if you didn't listen to critics, how come you tell everyone not to read Meltzer's reports?
Well, he doesn't. I mean, listen as far as they're going to do anything that we say or take anything we say. They listen to it and go, "Oh, those guys are just haters," and that's
my favorite thing. And I talked about this the other day. My favorite thing though was when Stone Cold. He didn't do many follow-up questions. I don't know if Stone Cold was allowed to do follow-up questions. Didn't it kind of look like he wasn't allowed to follow up on a lot of stuff? But he did follow up on one thing, and he goes, "Oh, you listen to the fans? Oh, what Twitter can they contact you at? What's your email?" And Vince looked like he was going to have a stroke. He was like, Stone Cold, I thought we were friends.
Yeah, he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to hear from the fans, but
he wants to hear people say his ideas are great, and he wants to prove us wrong. And it's just sad when your fans have become your competition. Corrupt Schizo says, I'm going to make it simple. All right, we can sum up the show. I didn't like anything besides Mizdow in the main event. Very early prediction for the Royal Rumble regarding the WWE Heavyweight Championship. Cena beats Lesnar. Lesnar attacks Cena. Post-match, Rollins cashes in. If I'm completely wrong about this, feel free to call me a fucking idiot as much as you want. I don't think.
Not going that far.
I don't think we need to call you an idiot, but this has been an idea that people have been talked about forever. I think this is the best case scenario if you're really listening to the fans. I think it is because you still have the Shield aspect. You still have Roman Reigns that you want to get over. The problem is they don't listen to the fans. And to do this is what's best for business. This is what's best if you listen to your fans. But the problem is Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, Dunn have one goal, and that's to make John Cena the biggest star despise us. You know what I mean? So that's the only thing. I think it makes perfect sense, and I wouldn't call you a fucking idiot because it seems like it's the best answer. But, you know, to steal a line from myself, nothing like quoting yourself to be a complete douche. WWE is not in the business of being awesome. NXT might be in the business of being awesome, but WWE is not. Mr. The King, I was sad when Bray Wyatt didn't show up. And fuck WWE, fuck Adam Rose, fuck the TV, fuck the belt, fuck the rabbit, done. Alright. And I think the word done might be overused on the internet infantry. I'm not one to poke fun at my beloved internet infantry, but you can't say done and then leave 20 more comments. I love you, Mr. The King. Franielli, this will be the last one, then we'll come back. Franielli's last comment, and then we're going to come back. Franielli, high member of the internet infantry, says, "It was a loss. The show in its entirety did not keep my attention. Lesnar's presence was a tease. Also, not even with help did they have Rollins pin Cena. So in summary, Super Cena attacked again. Monday Night Cena at its best."
Wow. Okay. Well, I don't know about that one.
All right. So, no, and you know what? That's what we're asking for. Win, loss, or tie. Internet infantry, we normally get a lot of negativity, so if there's any Cena fanboys not watching the post-show, leave your thoughts. Because a lot of times people are like, in YouTube, there's like this feeling, and Wrestling Rantin, you can back this because you have your own channel. There's this feeling like if you disagree, you have to hate each other.
Oh, yeah.
Me and Wrestling Rantin disagree all the time, and we high-five.
Yep.
You don't have to agree with everything we said, but it seems like today's media consumers, they don't go for entertainment. They don't go for different views. They go for, hey, that fucking fat nerd over there, right there, that one, says the things I want that I think, so I'm going to fucking jump on him. And then I'll be like, well, I really don't like Sting. And you're like, fuck it, I'm out.
Yeah, it's... We'll talk about that later.
All right.
Back to the Raw review. We get a promo video that tells us that Dean Ambrose and buried Bray Wyatt will be on the SmackDown Live show. Now, they didn't say they're going to be in a match, but they'll be in the same building together. So I guess look for lots of backstage fighting or whatever. I don't know what that means. But they'll be on the show, but not in a match. Oh, my God. Here we go. Low point of the night for me. Renee Young interviews The New Day.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about this. And they have a rematch against Gold Star. And then...
This is where they had a lot of time to show what they wanted, and the fans wanted nothing to do with it. But go on.
Nothing at all. But before we got to that monstrosity, we had another one where the Bella Twins took on Alicia Fox and Natalya.
The highlight is as I say, Adam Cole. That would have been a real highlight.
Yeah.
Michael Cole called Natty a man.
Yeah, Tyson, feel free to smack Michael Cole if you want to. So this tag team match, this Divas tag team match, let's skip to the good parts. JBL makes a Peter Falk reference as Brie wears down Foxy with a chinlock. Natty gets a tag, and she starts going to work on Brie, sending her into Nikki to knock her off the apron. Natalya then gets Brie in a sharpshooter, and Brie is forced to tap out. The winners of this Divas All-Star match, Natalya and Foxy Lady. So after the match, Tyson Kidd checks on Nikki before going in the ring and acting like he's proud of his wife. So
Tyson Kidd is the only thing interesting about the women's division, and that's horrible.
Yeah.
That is horrible. Dude, when you said I'm going to fast forward to the good parts, I swear I thought you were like, and the bell rang, and credits rolled.
And credits.
Yeah, I enjoy Tyson Kidd. That's about it.
Yeah.
I hate to say this, but Tyson Kidd's the most interesting thing in the Divas division by far. Um, is it just me? It's one of those things. Hear me out. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm shooting from the hip here about Nikki Bella. Nikki Bella was hired because a bunch of FCW guys saw her in a catalog, hired her. The FCW roster says that if you pay them, they'll pee and shit on you. You know,
Yeah, I read
Tony
that too.
Atlas isn't the only one that said that. A lot of Bella fans were like, "Oh, it's Tony Atlas." No. That's pretty much knowledge. Then they get up because they're twins, and I guess they get popular, and then they quit. And then they both date two great wrestlers and get shot to the top.
Whoa.
I meant stars.
One great wrestler.
-10 for me. Two giant stars.
Yes.
And they get shot to the top. And then Nikki, I'm going to give her a compliment. She's really improved.
Yes,
but with that said, she's still not good. The storylines have been horrible with tons of plot holes. And now, like, a not good wrestler with shitty plot holes is like the John Cena of women now. I just, am I missing anything about the history that just makes the Bellas really fucking depressing? Oh, and Total Divas. I forgot that part.
No. I mean, it's not even passable. It's just ignoring. I just ignore the Divas division at this point because, you know, they've put Paige in Total Divas. AJ is more concerned about how much medical insurance she can get from the WWE when CM Punk gets his ribs kicked in. UFC. So, you know, the WWE Divas division, once again, it had a little bit of a high, and now it's back down to where it was about a year ago.
Now, listen, about 2 years ago, we looked at our statistics, and we had 0% women and 0.1% other, and the rest was all male. But since then, our female demographic has grown a little better. So this is for the female members of the Internet infantry. Do you think John Cena could do better? Because my wife barely watches wrestling, and she walked by, and she's like, "Who's that? Who's she fucking to get on top?" That's what my wife said. I'm like, "Oh, well, she's dating John Cena. Like, I'm trying to take the high road here." And my wife's like, "Oh, John Cena could do way better than that." Now, for the ladies, is my wife out in left field? Is Nikki Bella a great catch for John Cena, or do you think John Cena could do better? I guess that's for the women. I guess men could answer it too, but I think that, when it comes to good-looking men, Randy Orton's good-looking. But then I go on Tumblr, and you're like, "I love Dean Ambrose." I'm like, all right, I know nothing about how men are supposed to look. But
that's a good thing.
Yeah. So this is for the ladies. Can John Cena do better? Because that's the only bit of wrestling American pro wrestling my wife has probably seen in years.
Yeah. Well, we went on here with another promo and I got to comment on this, that Roman Reigns returns to action on SmackDown Live because they're really pushing the SmackDown Live show. Am I the only one? Now, I will ask a question of the Internet infantry. We have Roman Reigns' new logo. Am I the only person in the world that immediately thought that was Spider-Man's logo?
Really? I thought Ross Report, or back in the day, Shannon Rose. I hope he feels better. Shannon Rose is in the hospital. He's a really famous internet ring announcer from Florida.
Yep.
And famous, I'm using like locally. He used to have something called the Rose Report with the 2 R's. So I thought Rasslin Rantin has 2 R's. You're just pissed off because Jim Ross, Shannon Rose, and now Samoa Cena.
No. Mine is done artistically. Thank you very much. It's very rustic, But no, seriously.
I see the Spider-Man look.
Yeah,
I understand where you're going.
I thought he was wearing a Spider-Man shirt when he came out. I was like, oh, that's 2 R's. Okay, I get it. Yeah, all right. So he's coming back out, but we are now treated to, from bad to good, the highlight of the night. Chris Jericho has the highlight reel with Rusev and Lana. So, oh boy. Jericho gives away Lana. I love Lana. I think she's a hottie. But he talks about her outfit before she gets out there. So we get into the highlight reel. Lana mocks Jericho's humor before Jericho starts making jokes about her again. He tells Rusev to release some stress by showing Lana his Sputnik. The crowd paused for that. I thought that was fun. It was a little cheesy, but I thought it was fun. Jericho sings Rusev and Lana sitting in a tree. Now this was cheesy, and asks if they are more than just manager and client. Rumors are that they are. Rusev threatens to crush Jericho. So Jericho says he knows someone. He knows a man. Because, every time he comes out there, people want to fight him, and same thing with Rusev. But somebody wants to fight Rusev. And it's not Jericho. It's the big guy. Ryback comes out, and they have a stare-off. Rusev does the good heel thing and backs off, which is he's supposed to do. I'll get to that later.
Yeah, Rusev is really hitting home runs. I think Rusev is just amazing.
Yeah, he played it up well the way he's supposed to, and back down. Now, I will say I'm actually this pairing could be good, and normally anything involving Ryback I'm like, but he and Rusev, I don't know. I just feel that they might actually have a chemistry in the ring. I'm just thinking of their movesets. I think they could complement each other, that their match might not be terrible. It might be a decent match. So what did you think about this highlight reel, Jericho's jokes, and the standoff?
Jericho's jokes were hit and miss. It felt like a comedian that bombed and hit home runs from joke to joke. Like, sometimes he would tell a joke and people were like, and then sometimes he'd tell a joke and be like, ha 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 ha, Jericho still has it. So it was like up and down, hit and miss. The only thing, and this is nerdy nitpicking, Rasslin Rantin, you can minus 10 points for me for being too big of a nerd. I like to live in the kayfabe zone when the show's going on. Like, I think when the show's going on, we should live in the kayfabe world, and when the show's going off, we shouldn't live in the kayfabe world. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think, but both kayfabe should be respected on air tremendously, and afterwards it should be like, oh no, we're just playing a part. It's just a show. That's my stance on it. I think eventually that's what's going to happen. But then, what will all the indie guys with 2 matches say to the internet fans? The only thing is, this is really nitpicking, and I apologize, I'm a nerd. When he said you two should bang and all that, and are you going out? As a guy who wants to believe the kayfabe universe, it kind of broke that fourth wall. Because then I'm like, no, they're dating. They've been dating for a while. They're both American. And maybe it was it reminded me of when John Cena made fun of Albert Del Rio. Like, oh, you don't even know the cars you drive. It's one of those things, I think when the insult ruins the universe, or the kayfabe atmosphere, I don't think the joke is worth it. I think when John Cena said, oh, Albert Del Rio, those ain't your fucking cars, you don't even know what they are, it's like, yo, of course not. What the fuck, man? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think Jericho did that with the joke of them dating. Like, I think I don't know, I think he could have had this segment without that, but to me, it's one of those, you have to be careful of the joke. Because what if, he just grabs the mic, it's almost the same thing. Be like, I really speak English, we're really dating, we've been dating since FCW, and if you go to our Twitter accounts and MySpace and Facebook, you can see us dating. We love to go to the Clippers game. Thank you. Like, I just think sometimes the jokes that break the kayfabe world, and maybe I'm nitpicking, maybe like, no, fuck you, it's just characters. But to me, I thought that broke the kayfabe universe a little bit in my world.
Yeah, I can see that. Of course, we came up. I mean, after the Attitude Era, I mean, that was nothing compared to that time. So.
Oh yeah. And that's one thing I didn't like about WCW. When WCW, especially ran by Vince Russo, they would be like, "We're going off this script." I'm like, I don't think that's how that works. You know what I mean? But I enjoyed it. As far as Ryback and Rusev, I think that's a big money match. I do. I think for us super nerds, we're going to be like, oh, who gives a shit? But for the average fan, because, I deal with a lot of fans on Facebook and Twitter through social media throughout the years. And because I used to be on radio back in the day, and when you're on radio, you don't get, I don't want to say as smart. Is that a word? I don't sound very educated, but not as educated people about pro wrestling. And you would hear stuff like, "My dream match is Goldberg versus Big Show. Who do you think would win?" And you're just like, what can you do? But I think for the casual fan, they're going to be excited for it. Now I'm going to put on my Booker cap. I'm taking off my fan hat, putting on my Booker cap. I think this is a horrible idea. I think just the timing-wise, you're giving a money match away way too early. Rusev should be unstoppable. Ryback should be unstoppable, and they shouldn't touch each other towards WrestleMania. And do I dare say they shouldn't touch each other till next year's WrestleMania? I just think you have a guy who's supposed to be a monster and a guy who has a monster, and you're like, well, we have nothing to do. Let's put the two monsters together. You know, it's kind of how I felt this pay-per-view's main event was. It's like, here's two great guys. We have nothing for you. Why don't you two main event? I personally wouldn't have them, and wearing the Booker cap, I wouldn't have them touch each other for a while. It's not like the super nerdy fans like us are clamoring for this match. And you could build it up where Ryback's destroying people again, Rusev's destroying people again, and people were like, oh my god, I really want to see it. So that's where I stand on it.
Gotcha. Well, we went from happiness and joy of the God to, well, actually before that we had another promo commercial of Dave's favorite NXT tag team, The Ascension, now with demolition paint, showing up and talking about how they're coming and man will rise and blah, 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 in the wasteland and all this stuff. So The Ascension is, as we all know now, coming to the main roster. Good luck to them. The tag team division sorely needs it, maybe, because, you know, I think you'll agree with this, Dave, that The Ascension is either you really love them or you really hate them.
Yeah.
So, you know, I hope for the best because I'm kind of actually in the middle. I don't really hate Ascension. I don't think they're the greatest tag team ever. I see, and like I said, they're getting the demolition treatment a little bit. A lot of people were talking about that on Twitter tonight, so we'll see how it goes. But another tag team with paint on their face, though, it's getting a little crowded with the face paint.
Well, my whole thing is, I agree and disagree. If you're legit for the children, my kids love face paint. When I was a kid, I loved face paint and masks. If you're legit for the children, wouldn't you have nothing but masked men and, you know, paint men? Okay, pretend I used those words correctly. But I had mixed feelings. I was all over the place on this. Like, if you had my feelings, it would be up and down. I was like, oh, cool, The Ascension. Demolition paint. I remember that. 80s. Yeah, demolition. Maybe 90s. I don't know. I've been punched ahead a lot. Demolition. Then I went from, oh, that's fucking stupid. And then I went from, oh, that's fucking stupid to, woohoo, they're not on NXT anymore. You know what I mean? So, like, it was a weird, because it was only like a 30-second clip. To go through that many emotions that quickly was weird. I was like, cool, The Ascension? Cool, Demolition? That's kind of stupid. At least it will be on NXT.
It'd be nice if they could get I like Demolition's intro music. That was if younger fans, if you haven't heard Demolition's intro music, it was one of the best ones of the '80s. Definitely check that out.
And I want to break kayfabe just because I've met Demolition before. Demolition, you see him on television, you meet him backstage. I might have to make a top 10 of nicest people you ever meet backstage. Demolition, if you ever meet them in person, and nothing like you expect. Nothing at all. Like, it's weird because, like, they put on their, like, you know, like, there's people that are completely opposite of their characters. That's Demolition. Like, Demolition puts it on, I'm an ass kicker, look at me, I'm Demolition, WWE, WWF legends. And then, like, they go in the back, and they're, like, putting on their makeup, war paint, maybe that would be better. But then, like, they're talking, like, oh, how's little Susie in college? Oh, she's doing great. How's little Timmy? Oh, he just bought a new car. And then, like, they'll talk to you and be like, you know what's important in life? Family. And I'm like, is Demolition a Hallmark carding me right now? But Demolition, if you ever get to meet him in an autograph signing or a Legends show or something like that, just go up to them because they are probably the nicest effing people in the world. They make top 10 nice guys behind the scenes.
Awesome.
You're like, who's ruining kayfabe now?
Well, continuing on the Demolition theme, Stardust tonight, by the way, anybody who looks at the picture of him tonight, he kind of looked like he had Demolition Axe's face paint on because it was silver with the red star over it. So slight nod there. But Goldust and Stardust took on the New Day, and the most embarrassing spot for WWE, for black people, for Detroit, for wrestling fans, for the entire world at that moment was this match. Unfreaking believable how bad this was. So, Kofi Kingston's on commentary with the Three Stooges, and JBL's trying to get all the lingo. Kofi's trying to sound, of course, the Jamaican accent is long since gone, so he's trying to sound a little street, a little Richard, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. He's kind of all over the place with what his character is supposed to be, because sometimes it's Hood. He's like, "Yeah, I told you, watch what happens," and then he sounds like, "Hey, the New Day, we're all brothers." And I don't think he's really bought into the gimmick yet. But Xavier Woods and Big E were tagging for New Day today, and the Black Freebirds, and they went.
Sadly, here's a question, because white guys are afraid to talk about black things. Would it be, if they were the Black Freebirds, would that be less racist than what they're doing now?
The fetch and step, nah. I don't know.
Which one do you think is worse? White guys asking black people uncomfortable questions, brought to you by Kocosports. Which one's worse? New Day, or they just be themselves and they're called the Black Freebirds?
The Black Freebirds would probably get Al Sharpton raining down on the WWE. But, I mean, we talked about this a couple months ago, what I thought they should have done with this faction, and they didn't do it. And at this point, I think my idea was light years better. But that being said, the fans completely shit all over the New Day. I mean, they came out. You could hear the boos. They were booing him. New Day sucks chants were going out. And this is when we got the NXT chants, which I was... Detroit, I'm a steal of Dave. Give yourself a Barry Horowitz. Thank you.
Need more NXT chants.
Yes. Every week, anybody listening to this show who's going to a WWE show, I want you guys to chant NXT. And, well, I was about to say forget the CM Punk chants, but chant CM Punk when Ryback is out there. But the NXT chants, I want you guys to chant NXT. That they need to get the message, or at least let everybody else who doesn't watch NXT hear the message so NXT can get more views. But as far as this match goes, let me get to the end of it. Gold Star team up on Big E. They punish him for a long time before Woods finally gets the hot tag. Goldust doesn't take long to take back control of the match from Woods, but Woods was able to hit him off. I guess it was supposed to be a finisher, but it really wasn't. He just takes him out of the match. Big E tags in and provides a step for Woods to jump over the top rope. Woods tags back in, and they hit the midnight hour. The midnight hour on Goldust to score another win. Now, actually, another fellow, I'm not going to mention her name, but another fellow podcaster and I were tweeting about this match, and he said that the fact that the move's called the midnight hour was racist. I think that's stretching it a bit. I don't think it's really racist. I mean, they're called the New Day, midnight hour. I get that. But it does have some kind of unintended racial overtones to it. So, yeah, Dave, have at it, man. This was a disaster on all fronts for everybody.
I got 3 topics, and then we're going to hit some live comments. One, Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes cannot stop being Stardust until he looks exactly like Starman from Pro Wrestling on Nintendo. That's the only way you can leave that. Because he's a really good actor. He's not a really nice person, fucking douchebag. No, that's not fair, douchebag. But you cannot be a new character. You cannot be a new character until you are Starman from Nintendo. As far as the New Day goes, I think this is almost a universal feeling. And it was universal in internet infantry chat and also on social medias, is that we love the New Day athletes and we think they're busting their ass for this gimmick. I don't think they're not trying. I think they're legit trying. I don't think it's one of those, oh, I hate this gimmick, I'm just going to do it. I think they're really trying to get it over, and I think they're really trying in the ring, but I think it's either this fucking sucks, this is racist, or worse yet, it's people going, man, I feel bad for those athletes. And I don't know which one's worse, but you got like the triforce of a perfect storm of just not the reaction you want to go for. This sucks. This is racist. Oh man, I feel bad for you. That's not. I'm sure that's not what they were going for.
Yeah. When it goes live, go ahead.
And I just want to mention one more thing. I'm not a big fan of Ryback the person, but if CM Punk loses at the UFC in his first fight, how immature is Ryback going to be on Twitter?
It depends. Well, I mean, remember Brock lost his first match against what was that? Who did he fight? God, why am I forgetting his name? Frank Mir. And but Brock kicked Frank Mir's ass before he lost the fight. So I guess it depends on how CM Punk loses. But why don't you
this is before we go to live comments. This is completely different. How in the world? Remember when Brock Lesnar lost to John Cena? How in the fucking world, when Brock Lesnar comes back from MMA, fights from the UFC, and he fights John Cena, and you want to put John Cena over, how does he not win with an ankle lock? How?
Because John Cena doesn't know how to put on an ankle lock. It's just like you're not even paying attention. Cena doesn't know how to put on an ankle lock. God, you don't want to hurt. You don't want to get Lesnar hurt. It's $5 million, man. We don't want you breaking his ankle. No, Cena, do not put on an ankle lock. Hit him with a chain. We trust you with the chain.
I think sometimes John Cena doesn't know how to wrestle, and he just like holds on to something. So the ankle lock would be like
exactly.
He's holding on to his ankle.
Yeah, let Stone Cold get on his ass again. Snug that shit up, bitch. All
right, we're going to Twitter. Rasslin Rantin, that young good-looking man, is tweeting us out like crazy. And here comes D_Rocks. You can follow him at D_Rock73. And he always asks questions about women's wrestling, and we accept any questions. Could AJ be leaving WWE in 2015? That's the rumors, and it might look that way. If so, where will she go from there? Maybe Shine or FIP? Possibly Shine and FIP. They put on some great stuff on WWN. But with that said, I think AJ Lee and CM Punk, money-wise and how they live, can just do whatever the fuck they want.
Pretty much.
You know, because I love Joe Rogan more than a straight man should, but Joe Rogan in one of his podcasts goes, "Oh, I think he just needs money." I'm like, you have no idea how CM Punk lives his life.
No. I think she kind of gave that away at the Slammies. I mentioned this in my review last week. Remember her awards acceptance speech, she was talking about all the future divas that are going to have this. It sounded to me kind of like, I'm not going to be here next year to win this. So thank you for 2 times and all the divas that are going to come. And she, named Bailey.
I love how she left out the Bellas, though. I wanted to give her a high five for that.
I love the way she didn't give King that pervert a hug, and he harped on it for like 3 hours on the next night. AJ's ice cold, so she wouldn't hug me. She's married. A married woman doesn't want to hug you, you perverted old man. Sorry. And then he blocked me on Twitter, so we're all good.
Did he really block you on Twitter?
Yes, he did. He did, because I said that.
That is horribly awesome. See, I just imagine that there's so many tweets they just miss them. So I guess you struck a nerve. But yeah, I don't know. Poor Jerry Lawler would probably get thrown in prison in Japan. And then he says at Kocosports, by the way, what are your thoughts on Santana Garrett, aka Brittany, leaving? I seen her matches in Shine, Shimmer, and she's pretty good. Yeah. I agree. I am not as an expert on women's wrestling as much as you are, but from what I know, I think she's good. And I know D-Rocks is going to be making his own podcast about women, and just from your knowledge alone, I'll try to put it up on the blog. So all right, let's go to the YouTubes. All right, Mr. the King.
Oh, God.
All right, this one's directed towards you.
I know.
Bray Wyatt's character was killed, period. Do you want to save reactions to that to the end? Alright. Stillwell plays. Was the Cena chant real or staged? I don't know. I thought the same thing myself. I don't think when Brock was in the ring, it was definitely not staged. That was a genuine Cena chant because Brock looked at Heyman and they smiled at each other going, "Bitches, I'm getting paid." As far as other stuff, I don't know. A lot of times on Raw, it's harder to do the audio without it being so phony. But also, you can have the loudspeakers. Like, they'll put in Cena sucks, Cena, let's go Cena chants in the background. But I honestly think he got over towards the end. Bullet Club's Biggs. Chris Jericho is my N-word, but I will never call him a sexy beast. All right, well, Mr. the King. Yeah, I am straight for the record, but I confuse gay people all the time because I'll just call men sexy all the damn time. Yeah, like a lot of my friends that are close to me are like, "Are you gay?" I'm like, "No, why?" I'm like, "I don't know. You just told that dude he had sexy eyes." I'm like, "Hey, a compliment's a compliment." Mr. the King says, Bray Wyatt was buried. There's a reason why his ass wasn't even on TV for... Oh, okay, we'll get to this. Mr. the King, you and Mr. the King need to battle it out. We need to have a Mr. the King versus Rasslin Rantin thing. Still plays. Who will beat Cena after he unfortunately wins back the title? I don't think he'll ever lose again at this rate. I think if they don't cash in right away, I just don't... I know this is really a little bit sarcastic, but also a little bit serious. If he doesn't lose the title like within 10 minutes of winning it, I don't ever see him losing it again.
Yeah.
I'm being a little sarcastic, but I'm also being a little serious. That's the scary part. Lionheart was a great movie, and the final guy he fights looks like Rusev, in my opinion. We were talking about Lionheart because that was Jericho's original gimmick. But yeah, there's also a movie. Razor Wolf, Blag! Jericho should have been Cena. All right. Mr. the King says, I'm a Bray Wyatt guy, and even when he wins, I can't be happy. I understand that feeling.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
That reminds me of like Team USA. Do you watch basketball?
College.
All right,
Yeah.
I don't really watch the NBA since, the Nets
me neither.
moved Jordan. I've fallen out of love with the NBA. But I still watch Team USA. And, I can never be happy. My wife's like, why do you even watch this? Team USA can win by 30, and I'm like, you're not Dream Team 1. You didn't win by 60. And I wonder if that's what's going on here. You just can't find happiness. I
have a theory on it. We'll get to it.
All right. Cena was carried by Seth. I think that's obvious.
That's obvious.
I argue that. Bullet Club Big says, I don't hate John Cena, but I think he is okay. All right. He has his place on the show.
I agree with him on that one. His place isn't where it is now, though. That's the problem. Cena has a place as a ambassador, Make-A-Wish, all that other stuff. Susan G. Coleman, even though it's a scam, he's got his place. But he's been 10 years. Heyman talks about this, and I kind of wonder, and anybody who's watched the pre-shows knows that Heyman said this a few times. He always says, well, Stone Cold was on top. Stone Cold Steve Austin was on top for only 3 years. The Rock was only on top for 3 years. John Cena has been on top for 10 years, and he does that as, kind of pumping up Cena as though he's the greatest superstar ever, whatever. But I kind of wonder if it's kind of he's been on top for way too long. And that's the problem with Cena. He has his place, but it's not where it is right now.
Yeah, I hated Cena just because of the class of people he came with. Like, Muda, Hashimoto, Liger, that's an amazing class that I can watch over and over. But with not Jericho, I apologize. With Cena, Batista, and Orton, I despised that class of wrestlers. And they're like, oh, this is going to be the main event. And it was painful. And I used to hate 3 people. But, he's gone, and Randy Orton is fucking on Twitter. So, like, it's just my hatred for him has grown. It was like I used to hate 3 people, but now I just hate 1. And it's funny, too, because, like, people all the time, I used to have a fave 5 and a hated 5. Like, and I used to talk about it, like, oh, who's my fave 5 now? Who's my hated 5? And I kind of dropped the segment because I don't even know who number 2 is. Like, it's like John Cena and maybe Bull Dempsey. But there is such a gap between my hatred. Like, back in the day, I'd be like, oh, I hate this guy, I hate this guy, I hate that guy. And now I just, I don't know. And my whole thing is, too, like, I think what makes the hate grow stronger with John Cena is that I think there are people that defend John Cena but don't actually like him. And that's what makes me mad. And then, like, it just, I don't want to hate him, but, oh, dude, I do. You know what I mean? Like, if you hate someone. And I wish him nothing but the best at anything but pro wrestling.
Come on, DC. Hire him. Aquaman. Oh, no, they already cast Aquaman. Somebody in the DC universe.
Anybody, dude. Anybody. Just make him a success at anything. I'm still hating the fact that Cena can't lose cleanly. Dude, there's so much wrong with the Cena character. But I think the problem is, I honestly think Cena fans and WWE, and maybe this is a little conspiracy theory, maybe, it's over the top, and I'm an over-the-top guy with my ideas sometimes. I honestly think they push Cena and people defend Cena because they hate fans. They don't hate the casual fans that come in, buy a shirt, and leave. Those guys are awesome. But the guys that spend 2-3 hours listening to a podcast, making a podcast, talking about it with their friends, I think they really despise that. And it's funny because I think that audience is the backbone.
Yeah, I'm going to play a little devil's advocate for WWE, though. I put myself in their position the other day and said, well, and listening to somebody else that we all love on their podcast, and I was like, well, if I was Vince McMahon listening to this, and you're going on constantly talking about how I'm having homosexual sex with John Cena, why would I give a fuck what you say either? I mean, I think sometimes we do it, some of us, not all of us, do ourselves a disservice by taking it to an extreme where they don't hear the criticism. At the constructive criticism, all they hear is John Cena sucking Vince McMahon's dick and Triple H is, doing, and they hear that, so they kind of tune us out a little bit. I think that might be part of it too.
I understand, but to me, that's defending a shitty product.
Yeah, that's by no doubt they're defending a shitty product, but I think they're not listening.
I mean, at the end of the day, when you're saying that, you honestly, in your heart of heart, if I held a gun, let's be over the top extreme here, if I held a gun to Vince McMahon and said, tell me the truth, he would be like, oh, that's just a defense mechanism. There's no fucking way he really believes that. And to me, it's just, at the end of the day, I'm going to steal something from Mark Madden. The only stat that should matter is less people are watching.
Yep.
That's the only stat that should matter, because here's the thing. I'm going to give WWE a compliment. I think their marketing is amazing. I think the people in Connecticut are the real stars. To steal a fucking NBA meme, they're the real MVPs.
Yeah.
The profit that WWE is making has nothing to do with John Cena. And I believe that from the bottom of my heart. I hope one day I can say that to John Cena and Vince McMahon face to face. Most likely I'll be dead before they even acknowledge me. But I would love one day just have one more meeting face to face with them and just be like, no. They're the MVPs. Because let's be completely honest. Let's say John Cena gets the role of who's a big superhero that hasn't been casted yet. Or let's just say he's the new Superman. Let's say they reboot Superman, he becomes Superman. That's a big role in Hollywood. He's the new Superman. He never comes back. They just do the same exact thing with Snow and Cena.
Yeah.
So, like, I think this is the thing what I almost have a weak spot for John Cena, because it's one of those things, the position he's in is a failing position. You know what I mean? It's kind of like being the president of the United States. You're going to fail no matter what. And I think, he's just going to be replaced with another failure, and they're just going to market him, and all that. So, yeah, it's tricky. Franielli, I hate Cena and his robotic promos, his lame-ass jokes, his pandering to the crowd, and his questionable wrestling ability. 10 years of the same shot is too much.
Yep.
I just don't understand anyone, and let's just take the kayfabe world. How can you root for Cena? He's handed everything. He wins everything. One of my favorite things, and I don't think it got over as much as, it's one of those lines when CM Punk said it didn't get over, but the line, as time goes on, has more points. He's the New York Yankees.
Yep.
If you don't live in New York, this is going to give me a lot of heat. 26 viewers? Let's see if we get down to 6. If you don't live in New York and you're a Yankees fan and you never lived in the tri-state area like Pennsylvania, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, why is the tri-state area 4? I have no idea. Fucking Northeast is weird. But if you're not in those 4 states at a moment in your life and you're a Yankees fan, I just think you have mental problems. I do. It's like, oh, well, I'm just going to like the best. Well, then what's the point? You know what I mean? It's like, why even be a fan?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like if you grew up in New Jersey, you grew up in New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, no problem. Understand why you're a Yankees fan. If you're under the age of 14 and you're a Yankees fan, I understand. But if you can buy a beer and you've never lived close enough to Yankee Stadium for a 4-hour drive and you're a Yankees fan, I just think there's something wrong with you in the head. I do. I don't understand it. All right. Razor Wolf says, Ziggy for King of the World. Mr. The King says, I noticed the match they wanted didn't get voted. I was shocked they made them specifically because he got the award. Razor Wolf says, Jericho has become a parody of himself. That's a nice line. I like that. I love him to the 9th degree, but Homeboy gets a cheap paycheck. And I guess he deserves it, but at the same time, Alex the Sauce Boss. I'm glad Alex the Sauce Boss is back. I thought Alex the Sauce Boss was going to leave us forever. Any early predictions for Royal Rumble? Like who's winning it and who could really do it? I think the early lock, like the Vegas favorite, the Atlantic City favorite, maybe not my pick, has to be Roman Reigns. I mean, is there anyone not thinking Roman Reigns is by far the favorite? So no. I think that's the easy. I think when if Roman Reigns ever does get eliminated, I think that's the shock of the night. Razor Wolf, by the way, it isn't funny that face Cena has to have. Hold on. Razor Wolf, take 2. 10 yards on the penalty. I am messing up even jokes. By the way, isn't it funny that face Cena has to have a run-in for the pay-per-view? Yeah, I don't get it. Dennis N. I agree about Jericho. He does seem different. He looks like he needs a nap. He just looks tired.
That's that DDP yoga.
I imagine, touring, not being in shape. I guess it wears on you because outside of WWE, he's kind of a celebrity, and that's probably hard work. I've written books before, and I've promoted wrestling shows, but I imagine the music industry has to be so much more stressful. I know nothing about music, but I know about promoting live events, I know about promoting sport events, and I know about writing a book. So that's all I can compare it to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can imagine those 3 things I've done is nowhere near stressful as being a rock band. I just imagine that's a really stressful job, traveling, touring, selling the CDs.
recording, coming
I
up with
don't know.
songs, promotions.
I don't know about your music background. Do you have any experience in being in a rock band or
Not
like
a
a situation like that?
not a rock band, but I DJ'd and promoted raves in Baltimore back in the '90s. That's a little fun fact for you guys out there.
Oh, that's hardcore.
Six years.
I
Yep.
used to not. I'm not. I'm stuttering here. I apologize. Take two. I was never really into music, but when I moved to Okinawa when I was a teenager, raves was the big thing. So I wore the big Jinko jeans and
Oh yeah,
the
the
big hockey
Airwalk.
jerseys. No one knows what the hell that means, but I
Yeah,
was into the rave scene for like maybe 6 to 12 months, and the only reason I was into it is because that's what every bar and young person did. You know what I mean? It was like when in Rome. But yeah.
yeah. That's a topic for a different because I could go on for. I was 6 years in there, and it was me and about three other promoters in Baltimore. We kind of ran the city for a while, but that's a whole different story.
Did
But
you wear the Jenko jeans, or is that more of a white guy
oh
thing?
yeah, no, I mean, you're a raver, so we all had the Janko jeans, the Airwalks, tennis shoes, well, and here in the States on the East Coast, the Smile, New York City. Anybody out there, if anybody out there is from that era, that you know about the Smile T-shirts and the glow sticks and all that other stuff, and making fun of the candy ravers and all that good old stuff. Good old days, fun
Mr.
days.
the King, Mr. the King says that was a pretty good impression of Vince. I think he's talking to you because my
Yeah,
impressions are horrible.
I love my
Um,
Vince. I love my Vince impression. It's almost as good as the Russo one.
D-Rock, this is the last question, and we got to go back to recapping. How much do you want to bet WWE Immortals is going to suck? I'm not sure what it is. Is it a video game? Is it a comic book? Is it a TV show? I wasn't really paying attention, but I was like, what is this product? I feel like an old man. Like
What is
let me
this?
call my grandson, Wrestling Rantin. Sonny boy, what is the WWE Immortals? What's going on with that? Could you explain it? Do I have to use the computers? Do you even know what it is?
I have no idea, but I will look it up right now. It's a mobile game.
All right, so Wrestling Rantin, I was trying to put you over as the young one in the group. Obviously, we need help.
No, I could care less about it. But apparently, it's a mobile game, a new free to play game for mobile devices called WWE Immortals, developed by the guys from Mortal Kombat and Injustice Gods. Well, they got good developers for it, so it might be a good game.
I don't know. That actually sounds exciting. That sounds a lot more exciting than the app.
Yeah, I might have to check this out. I'll look at this later.
I know, like, at first we were making fun of it, like, WWE Immortals. We're like, holy shit, we got to order that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be good, but it sounds different and exciting. All right, let's go back.
All right.
Quincy C. and Forsaken, thank you for watching on Google+. Google Plus doesn't have the street credit it used to. All right, Wrestling Rantin, let's go back to reviewing.
Oh, yes, and we come back to something even worse than the New Day, possibly. Talking about being shit on, we go to Adam Rose having a backstage segment. As soon as he and the Exotic Express appear on the screen, you hear the smattering of boos just cascading from the arena. They couldn't even drown it out with the oh-oh-oh-ohs. They run into Kane. They're going to have a party afterwards. But Kane comes in, and I tweeted this out. This was the best use of Kane in about a year. Kane says he's sick of them. He's sick of their music. He doesn't like the stupid bunny. So he challenges Adam Rose to. Well, he doesn't challenge him. He tells Adam Rose they're having a match later on. So Adam Rose gets all crazy. They have a match after commercial. Now Adam Rose. Amazingly enough, this is the most moves I've seen him do since he debuted back in, I guess it was April. He actually tried to wrestle a little bit in this match, but he pretty much got he pretty much got destroyed by Kane. Kane's going for the choke slam. The bunny jumps in the ring. The bunny gets caught. Double choke slam on Adam Rose and the bunny. And then it wasn't enough. And JBL was marking out big time. You can kind of tell he was kind of really, really cheering for this because Kane takes the bunny, tombstones the bunny. The crowd goes nuts. Mick Foley tweets, "I hope that wasn't Pete Rose." And
Nice.
Yeah.
Plus 5 for you, Foley.
There you go. And everybody. So my question is to you, Dave: is this the end of the Adam Rose experience? Are they just going to wash away and we're going to get Leo Kruger, or are we going to continue with this nonsense?
I don't know. It's a tough call because he's an NXT guy and Triple H wants to protect him. And I'm going off internet reports, so some people value them more than others. Triple H tells him, "Oh, just give it time. You'll eventually get over." You know, that's what he's also saying. Plus, I was watching another YouTuber. I'm probably going to mispronounce it. Kocosports. I don't really watch many other YouTubers. I apologize.
Virtuoso Sports. Oh God, I got to tell you a story about him. That's
I don't know much. I just caught an episode. I don't know if he kills people. You never know on YouTube. You know,
well, he's one of Bruce Blitz's guys.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, you don't really like the Bruce Blitz.
I like Mad Genius. He's cool.
He was saying something about like how he was the one that came up with the gimmick. So it's got to be double heartbreaking because you're over as basically a Spider-Man villain in NXT/FCW. You're like, oh, I'm going to try this. And I think on paper, this is a good gimmick. I just don't think it was good for him. You know what I mean?
It was good in NXT, not in WWE.
Yeah, and NXT was over like $1 million.
Yeah.
But I just want to give a compliment to Kane because Kane used to be a guy that I hated. He used to be on my fave 5 of hating people, or hated 5. When I was a hockey fan, come with me. This is a grandpa story. When I was a hockey fan, I grew up. I loved New Jersey Devils, Claude Lemieux, Scott Stevens. They were my team. I love the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Devils now. Judge me all you want. I've lived in both places. But I hated Wayne Gretzky. I hated Wayne Gretzky forever. Like, I remember if we played hockey as kids and you liked Wayne Gretzky, I would just check you and steal a line. I don't know if the line was originally in New Jersey or the line was originally in Swingers. But I just remember we'd always be like, there you go, Superfan 99, and boom, we'd check them, and like if you were Gretzky, we'd call you a pretty boy. Liking Wayne Gretzky was as bad as being a Randy Orton fan today. Like if someone likes Randy Orton, they're just like, oh, okay, pretty boy, you know what I mean? But there, you could hit each other legally. And I remember I hated him with all my passion. And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna retire soon. And I was like, son of a bitch, I don't really hate this guy. And I think that's where Kane is right now. I always hated Kane, but now he's putting over everybody. I know he just won, so this is a bad example, but his win-loss record this year has been absolutely horrible. And I think I would enjoy John Cena in Kane's role. Yep. I don't think it will ever happen, but if John Cena was in Kane's role, I would respect him more in the future. True. Like very tomorrow.
True. Very true.
So
I agree with that. A quick note on the Mr. Virtuoso Sports, Mad Genius over there. I was not the only one who got blocked by WWE stars because he started a Twitter war with the Usos because he said, "Why are Uso boring?" And they responded to it, and it's still going on today. If you look at the Usos account, they're still trolling each other. So that's
really,
just a little,
man, that's pretty hardcore. I usually don't bug them because I'm one of those guys, I treat social media like how I would talk to the people in real life. And I'm like, yeah, if I saw the Usos, I'd just be like, hey, what's up? But then that's so fucking boring on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like, I try my hardest. Sometimes on YouTube, I overreact and tell funny stories. But I think if I was hanging out with them, I would still overreact to tell funny stories. And you can ask the people that know me in real life, that's just the way I am. But, like, a lot of people, like, act tough, but then, like, I treat Twitter and Facebook the same way I would treat you if I saw you in person. And I think that's why I don't get into many Twitter wars with wrestlers. Yeah. Because, like, if I saw the Usos, I'd be like, this is what I would say. And it would be the most boring tweet ever. You ready for the most boring tweet ever? At Usos, I really enjoy your stuff. Wish you didn't hang out with John Cena on screen as much. That would be the most boring tweet ever. They'd be like, why are you even fucking tweeting? Like, all right, moving on, sir. Moving on. And I always imagine that, I use Twitter, but I usually use it to talk to people that would be podcast listeners or, like, to, I guess, the public. I usually picture, like, telling a celebrity something. Like, every now and then, I'll mark out and send something to Dolph Ziggler, and I just imagine Dolph Ziggler's like, yeah, some fucking fat ass in Japan fucking really loves me. All right, next. Like, I don't picture, like, I don't know. I just use Twitter wrong. I don't feud with the celebrities. I just use it wrong. Because I don't know, my whole thing is, like, I would love to go on at John Cena or whatever it is and be like, fuck you, but it's not satisfying. Like, I want to see him in person so he has the option to fucking choke the living life out of me. But I want to see him in person and tell him this stuff. I don't know if I wanted to say it on Twitter. Because I noticed, too, like, on Facebook, in 2015, I'm just going to work on content. I'm just not even going to bother having debates and shit on Facebook anymore. I'm just going to work on content. But, like, there's, like, these badasses that would whoop my fucking ass. And I'm like, oh, if you're ever in Tokyo, look me up. And like, whoa, this is getting out of control. And I'm just like, I think people use social media like we're never going to meet. And I don't think that's how it should be used.
Oh, yeah, they definitely do. But,
what was this match? now you know Boom Boom's paid. You're like, this was a Big John Studd, Andre the Giant slam contest. How did we get here?
Yeah. Well, it's all good. We got to, where were we? Oh, yeah, here we are. So we had a bunch of more bunny jokes after that. That kind of went on for a while with the commentators. Then Jericho comes out, and we get to our first main event, or mini main event of the night. Heyman had a good one-liner when he came out for his match. He said people expect him to have tricks up his sleeve, but he's not the Jew of jiu-jitsu. I thought that was pretty cool because I've heard that a few times. Yeah. He tries to offer Jericho. He says he's going to pay Jericho the $200 he owes him. He pulls out a checkbook.
And my whole thing is, I think that, like on Facebook, they have the age things. They're like, oh, if you have a phone with a dial, do you remember this? And some of them are ridiculous. They're like, a PlayStation 3, do you remember that in your childhood? I'm like, they still sell those. But I think this is the wrestling equivalent of that. Like, if you were laughing about the checkbook joke, you're definitely older than the ones not laughing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what Michael Cole tried to get it over, but, that was Inside Baseball. That came up later tonight, too. As predicted, Heyman said to Jericho, blah, 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 you're going to pick a fight with me, but you picked a fight with Lesnar. So Lesnar's music comes on. I, of course, am happy as hell. Lesnar comes out, confronts, he does his little thing. He does this all the time. He circles the ring like a shark. Because he does kind of look like a great white shark. And then he gets up there, does a little dance. What'd you call it, the Mario dance or whatever?
Yeah, the boom boom. The Super boom Mario Wii U boom boom dance.
The boom boom dance.
If I was not lazy, I would try to have a clip to play, but I'm lazy and stupid. But yeah, just go play Wii U or any of the Mario Wii U, Super Mario Wii U games. I don't know what they're called. But there's a guy named Boom Boom. He's like a Koopa kid, but not really. He's like a Koopa cousin. I don't fucking know the background of Boom Boom. But he's not an official Koopa kid. And he's just like in the mid-level castles. And that motherfucker is be dancing just like Brock Lesnar.
Well, let's take this little GIF that I found of it, and I'll just put it in a comment so everybody can see it.
Oh, you found a GIF of it? That's cool.
I found a GIF of it, so there it is for everybody. But so Jericho gets in a little one-on-one with Brock Lesnar, which looked legit. I mean, I'm saying look legit. It's kayfabe, of course. But Jericho goes to attack him. Lesnar no-sells like he's the freaking Terminator, the forearm. Jericho tries to do the code breaker. Lesnar basically just shoves him off, picks up Jericho, snatches him up literally, and puts the F5 on him, leaves Jericho laying in the heat. And then we got the Cena chants as Lesnar and Heyman laugh and then leave the ring and leave a great impression on the crowd. So, Dave, Lesnar's surprise, non-surprise appearance tonight, what did you think about that? And do you think that why wasn't he at a match last night if he could show up?
Well, it's easier to have him show up on Raw because there's ratings, more people watching, and he didn't wrestle. I mean, he did wrestle, but did he really? My first reaction, I kid you not, I felt like I was 90 years old. Because he's like, Brock Lesnar, and you do that a lot better than I do. And I was like, ha, that's a nice trick. He's not coming out. And then his music hit. And I'm like the most negative turtle old man ever. Just picture like an old turtle being like, so he says Brock Lesnar. And I'm like, oh, that's a good trick, Heyman. And then the music hits. I'm like, that's not him. And then I physically see him. Like, I actually see, I have confirmation. Green light, go, take out the target. I have confirmation it's Brock Lesnar. And my old man's like, you think Brock Lesnar's really showing up tonight? I missed the pop. I was just like, and then like when it was already too late, and I was like, you know what? Brock Lesnar's here. Like, it was the weirdest reaction ever, because like even when I fucking saw him with my own eyes, I was like, I don't think he's there. Like, I was that denial.
It's a Bray Wyatt hologram.
Yeah, like, I don't know why. Because at first I was like, oh, haha, nice trick, Paul Heyman. Oh, they're playing the music. Oh, okay, so it's like The Miz or someone's going to come out. Oh, it's really him. Is that really him? Like, it was probably, like, if there was 1,000 of me, Detroit would have been absolutely silent and confused. So I'm glad Detroit popped for it, because I totally missed the pop by being just punch-drunk idiot. But I felt like an old man. I was like adjusting my glasses. Like, is that really Brock Lesnar?
What are you doing here, huh?
But I enjoyed it a lot. As someone that's much as burnt out on it, I don't know. I think I popped more for his second appearance, but we'll get to that more. The first appearance, I was like, oh, that's cool. You know, I was an old man, not sure. I was confused. Bright colors confused me. But second time he comes out, that was more of a pop for me.
Yeah. And there's an interesting picture I just found, and I posted it too, of Jericho looks scared as shit with Lesnar. If you look in the comments, this image is just... It just says the whole thing. Jericho looks like he's about to shit himself looking up at Lesnar. It's awesome.
Yeah,
so
I imagine it's got to be intimidating. I mean, someone that big and that strong, that wrestling background. You know what I mean? Like,
I have said many times, I'm not the toughest guy in the world, but I've never shied away from a fight. There are a few people on this planet I would never get in a fight with. I'll just be like, I'm running. Brock Lesnar's one of them. I ain't fighting that guy. Ever.
Yeah. Because there's something about it. Like, I'm fat now, but I just grew up really skinny. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't afraid of getting beat up. But like, when you see someone like Brock Lesnar, you're just like, you know what? This ain't the time I'm gonna make my stand. Like, there's very few times that I've been punked out, but I absolutely remember the one time. It was this giant athlete of a man, and he was so angry. And I'm the asshole who says hello to everyone. Like, hey, this guy's roid raging, about to rob a liquor store. Dave, why don't you go say hello to that guy? So I'm like, hello. And then he was like, what? You don't fucking know me. And I just sit there. I was like, and it was so funny, too, because, like, I had a gun, and I normally never have a gun. I was holding my friend's gun. And I was like, holy shit, I'm going to be Zimmerman right now. And I just backed down. I was like, good day, sir. Whatever you... And I usually don't back down for people, like, even if they're bigger. You know, and that's the thing, being in the Marine Corps, being a pro wrestling promoter, dealing with athletes. Sometimes you have to stick up for what's right, even if it's going to get your ass kicked. But I remember this one time I was with my friend James Legend. By the way, congratulations, James Legend. James Legend proposed to his girl at Disney. But I was with James Legend, and I had my friend's gun, and this guy came by, and I was just like, you know what? He looks angry. Let me say hello. Not the route to go. And he was like, what? What? Do you know me? And I was like, God damn it, I'm going to have to back down or shoot this guy. And I did the right thing. I was just like, all right, yep, I'm an asshole. But
right,
yeah, I imagine you got to get that feeling with Brock Lesnar. Like, if you're not shooting that guy, he's killing you. You have to back down or shoot him. And,
yeah, just ask Jim Cornette about that one.
Yeah, just because he's so big and big. He's not steroid big, because steroid big you could at least blow up. He's like, I'm a giant fucking human being big. You know, because like a steroid guy, you can be like, all right, it's going to hurt, and if I don't get knocked out, well, you know, he'll be blown up. But when you're like legit fucking just huge, you're just like, oh God, I'm going to fucking die tonight. But yeah, Brock Lesnar scares the piss out of me. And there's not many people that scare the piss out of me.
Yeah, maybe I suggest people look up the story Jim Cornette tells of Lesnar, I think, insulted his wife when he was coming up, and Cornette was going to do the same thing. He's like, well, well, if what's going to happen is I'm going to shoot you because I'm not fighting your big ass. So
Yeah.
you can find that one on YouTube. It's a good one. So the next segment we got to was Roman. I have a feeling this little segment of Raw kind of reminded me of old school Raw a little bit for me, the way they booked this stuff. So Fandango comes out and kind of mocks the fact that Jericho got his ass kicked and he's not getting his slammy back, and Raw is Jericho is no more and whatever. So then we get Dan. Roman Reigns comes out with his Spider-Man shirt on, and he gets into the ring. And I was like, oh, please don't let it be a promo. But it wasn't a promo. He came in and just kicked ass. And he kicked Fandango's ass. And then, he picks up the mic. He starts to go for it. I was like, oh, no, you're going to ruin it. That was perfect booking for you. And then but then, I'm seriously, it was.
Yeah. No, I agree. I just think it's funny because I agree so much.
Yeah, so Big Show's music hits. Big Show comes out. And then Roman Reigns does speak, but he says this. He gets on a mic and looks at Show and goes, Show, really? If you get in this ring, I'm going to hit you in the mouth. Now, me personally, I actually like that from Roman Reigns because that sounds like that's something I would probably say. We're all dudes. We've all said that at one point in time, especially when we're younger, like really, this is not the time. If you come over here, I'm going to hit you in the mouth. I'm just saying it right now. I'm letting you know. So that felt like something that felt more natural for him too, instead of what they've scripted him to saying. So I don't know if that was scripted or ad-lib, but that kind of stuff is what he should be saying. Show comes to the ring, and of course Reigns does what he says he does, hits Show in the mouth. But Superman punch does not take out the Big Show. They kind of stare at each other, blah 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 blah. Show goes back, and they play Roman Reigns' music, and cut to blah. So
but in Big Show's defense, at least he sold it. If it was Randy Orton, he would have just been like, "What? What's going on?"
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this was great at hiding his weaknesses, and I think if you're gonna make him the next Golden Boy, and you don't want people to turn him into John Cena too, your creative team has to bring its A game every week to hide his weaknesses. And people are like, "Oh, that's never done." For a long stretch, sorry, I'm dying. But for a long stretch, Goldberg was like that. Goldberg hit his weaknesses really well. Now, Granted, they fucked it up, but there was a long run where most people didn't know about Goldberg's weaknesses. I think that's what they have to do.
Yeah, until Steven Regal wrestled him, and then we all found out about it. But and Roman Reigns, whatever you do, follow Goldberg's lead. Do not try to Superman punch a limo window, because you will you will tear your tendons and be out for 6 months, like Goldberg. So after that, and like I said, those last two segments, there's another thing I want to bring up about that. I kind of thought for a minute that they might have been stealing from NXT with the whole Dempsey, Baron Corbin thing, where one comes out and smashes, and then the other one comes out and smashes. With Lesnar and Reigns. I don't think that's what they were doing when you look at the whole thing, but I had that thought for a minute, possibly. So then we got Jimmy Uso versus The Miz. So, of course, the crowd's going wild for Miz now, and he's doing his usual antics. It's pretty funny. I mean, this wasn't one of their best things. The Usos are still trying to, I guess they're still trying to defend the honor of Naomi. I guess that's what's going on with this storyline. At the end of the day, at the end of the match, Miz winds up losing to a splash. Jimmy gets the pin, and Jimmy Uso wins. But after the match, the Miz tracks down Naomi in the back, and still is offering her this spot in I guess a movie or a music video or whatever it is he's offering her in Hollywood, and then says to her that tomorrow night on the main event, which is kind of weird to me. You have to explain this to me later on, but on the main event, he's going to have Miz TV, and she's invited to tell and talk about how she wants to be Divas champion. So, the end of this segment, I kind of like the fact that they're kind of tying the Divas title match to this feud, which is kind of involved, and it all connects a little bit. I'm not sure where it's going, and I'm also not sure, this is where you're going to have to help me out here, are they having a super SmackDown and main event tomorrow night?
Oh man, let me explain this to you. And I try to do reviews of every show, and I'm burnt out from this show. tomorrow, main event is going on the network an hour early, 7 to 8. Then on USA, from 8 to 10, will be a live SmackDown. So a live main event and a live SmackDown tomorrow. I don't know if I have it in me to review them right afterwards. I think that one there might be a delay. Because usually if it's live, I'm like, oh, I'll try to get on right away. Because, that's where you get the most live viewers. Because usually it's either right away or like 7 o'clock Japan time, and no one's up then. But I don't know if I have it in me to do 3 WWE big shows a week. So there might be a delay on that. I don't know. Still check in. Check in on Twitter and YouTube and all that. But as of right now, dude, when they said tomorrow's live main event, I'm like, okay, whatever. I could do that late. It's not that. And then like, oh, it's tomorrow's live SmackDown. I'm like, no. I think they want to break me. They want to break me. They're like, oh, you want to review every show?
Try this.
Yeah.
Cool. You want to go to live comments?
Yeah, let's go to some live comments. I'll try to go fast. Cut me off if there's anything you want to respond to. Franielli says Randy Orton looks like an Abercrombie and Fitch model, like Dave usually says. LOL. Hook and Shoot. Hook and Shoot. That's a guy that we could get. Hook and Shoot started his own podcast. Hook and Shoot. If you're still around, I don't know how long ago this comment is. Maybe you could join us for our award show that
would be
Wrestle
cool.
Rantin's doing.
Yep.
Also, I forget his name, but it's American something, American a la carte. So, because I tried to hit up other YouTubers, and they're like, I'm already part of Wrestling Rantin's team. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, there's a lot, but there's 2 that need to be replaced.
Gotcha. Oh, so who is it? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
Hook and Shoot
we're not
also
going there.
Hook and Shoot says, also, and this is a weird observation, but I thought the commercial for the Royal Rumble after the Lesnar thing sucked. I mean, it was so boring and lackluster that until they mentioned wrestling, I was sure it was for the insurance commercial. Thanks, Hook and Shoot. I don't remember the commercial, so he might have a great point if I don't even remember it.
Yeah.
Bullet Club Biggs. Lana is hella overrated. Give me Naomi or Rosa. No, who's the one? Damn it, who's the really good-looking one? There's one. The older she gets, the better she gets. She's a short little thing. Used to be with Fandango. Layla? Yeah, Layla. Layla and Fox are my favorites as far as looks go.
We all have different tastes, guys.
Yeah. But I'm saying in real life, there's probably not a bad-looking diva. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I'll see these other shows, and they'll come on, and they'll be like, yeah, listen here, I would never sleep with that diva. I'm like, are you out of your mind? If she just appeared, maybe I use my imagination and imagine if she was here. There's not one diva that just magically appears that I'm like, no, not for me. It's just, they're very attractive women. Yeah. I just don't understand. Like, I know nerds sometimes have higher standards, but you have to use your imagination if they were really here. Like, you know who? Like, there's 2 girls that used to be made fun of, because the internet used to be really harsh on the women, especially around, like, Trish Stratus, Lita's time frame. If you were a woman during Trish Stratus, Lita time frame, people were just absolutely brutal. You know what I mean? You think they're mean now to the women? No, what I'm saying, online community. Molly Holly is on television. So sorry for a television star, but in person, Molly Holly and Victoria used to get made fun of so much on television for not being that good looking, but when you see them in person, dude, no. There's television good looking, and then there's real life good looking. But you know who? Now that I am, there are 2 girls that look way better on television, but one of them's married to Brock Lesnar, so I'm just going to go to Stillwell Place comment. I have to disagree. Wrestling Rantin.
Well, that's nothing new.
I like when a heel cheats outside of the match, then wins clean in the match, because it means they can play a face role to piss off the crowd more. All right. This is my biggest problem. I will hit on it. I mean, me and Wrestling Ranch have been talking about this for months. But my big thing about this match, it seemed like it was 2 cool guys that had nothing else going on, so why don't we just throw those 2 cool guys together? And as far as the heels go, I don't think it's as clear. Like, I think people like both guys as equally much. You know what I'm saying? But I could be wrong. I've been wrong before.
Yep.
But I don't see Bray Wyatt as a full-blown heel.
I will comment on that later.
All right. Save it for later. We keep saying save it for later, and I only have like an hour left, so don't save it too much for later, because I got to take my kid to judo and swimming. You're like, save it for later. And with that, I am over.
All right.
I was hoping Rusev shouldn't. I was hoping Rusev shouldn't have been all chicken heel. Would have been more impactful if Rusev had destroyed Ryback. It's all about building a monster. I just think that would have been too soon for that. I just think these two shouldn't have been in the same ring for a very long time. And this is from Denise N. Oh, this is from our question about the women. All right. Your wife is absolutely correct. Grown women can spot when they see trash. I watched Total Divas and tried to get my friends to watch it. They saw one episode and couldn't get them to continue to watch. Nikki Bella isn't bad looking, but she is very immature and mean-spirited. She's always very manipulative, and if she can manipulate John Cena to marry her and give her a kid, she will wait until another man comes along with John Cena money and willing to give her marriage and kids. She will leave him. Women do it all the time. They wait until another man comes along before they get the courage to leave their current relationship. All right, so there. I'm glad we had a woman answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it. It's a lot different view from what dudes, because dudes are like, boobs. So I appreciate the comments. All right, we'll get back to comments because, like I said, I have less than an hour, and we have still a lot more show to go. So,
all right, I'm gonna roll through it then.
Coming, but we're going back to the review.
We're in the extra rounds here, light speed. So we got a promo for Ho Ho Hogan next week. No, not his porno movie, but he will be hosting.
Nice.
He will be hosting Raw. Let's see, blah blah blah. Skip over this. Seth Rollins. Oh, we're at the main event. Never mind. All right, cool. Seth Rollins versus John Cena in the cage. Now, I will say this. As none of us are here, and I don't think there's one person I've seen in the internet infantry who is a John Cena fan. I'm not a big John Cena fan. I'm kind of indifferent. Lately, I kind of just pissed off at the fact that he's in the main event all the time. But that being said, this was not a terrible John Cena match. Now, you notice, anybody who notices wrestling, you notice what they do with him. He doesn't have good wrestling matches, but in order to get the drama and the excitement out of the match, he'll hit something big, false finish, interference, false finish. Maybe he'll do this, false finish. You know, that's how they get in, you know, because he can't wrestle. So that's how they get interest in his matches. So they did a lot of that tonight. And for what it is, for a John Cena match, it's entertaining. I wasn't completely bored. I wasn't completely irritated with it. There were some good spots. Seth Rollins obviously carried this match. He was bumping his ass off, and kudos to Mercury and Noble too. They bumped their asses a little bit in the match. They had a great shot of Mercury when he thought he had won the match for Rollins, and he looked like he was about to cry or somebody kicked his puppy or something outside the ring. Great facial expressions on him. Good use of the cage here and there. Of course, no blood. It's WWE, but a match ends in a very, very interesting way, which I think a lot of people kind of call once they realize what was going on and that Lesnar was there. It was a cage match. Okay, we know what's coming. Lesnar comes out after Cena and Rollins are laid out in the ring. He comes out with Heyman, gets into the ring. He kind of surveys the prey that is at his feet. He picks up on Cena, and this is the part where I started laughing out loud tonight. He goes for the Germans again, and I started cracking up laughing. German, 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 eat, sleep, suplex, repeat, kicking Cena's ass. I enjoyed it. That was the greatest part of the whole thing. And then you think the announcers are trying to tell you that he's going to go after Rollins next, but here's the interesting part. The plot thickens. Paul Heyman goes up to Seth Rollins, extends his hand. Rollins looks a little intimidated. Mercury and Noble are screaming something outside the ring, but eventually Rollins cracks a little sly grin. He shakes Heyman's hand. Heyman and Lesnar leave the ring. Rollins takes way too long to finish this match. He hits a curb stomp on Cena. picks up the Money in the Bank briefcase, and a la Bray Wyatt from the match he won against John Cena back in May, walked out of the cage and won the match. Now, 2 questions on this for you, Dave. Number one, what do you think where do you think they're trying to go with this whole storyline with Lesnar, Rollins, and Heyman? And number 2, is there some sort of stipulation in John Cena's contract that when he loses these cage matches, it can't be by pin, it has to be by the guy walking out the cage? Because I know thousands of people for the next 2 days are going to be complaining about that, but
all right, so the first one, I'll answer the second question. I got a bad memory. You can't ask me 2 questions in a row.
Damn it.
The one, I just think it's not in his contract. I don't think he has creative control. Maybe he does, but it's most likely that everyone loves him, everyone wants him to be over, and he has a lot of pull and stroke, and he's like, no, I'm going to do it this way. And the second thing is, you asked me where do you think the storyline's going? I think this is a way to write Brock Lesnar off television, but Paul Heyman still have a job. Maybe Triple H and Stephanie don't come back right away, and even though Seth Rollins is the future, Seth Rollins isn't the best promo cutter.
No.
And him with Paul Heyman, I know that, but like, I'm just guessing. This ain't fact. Sometimes when I start guessing, I'm like, I hope people ain't taking this as fact. But I could see, like, Cena beats Brock, 16-time champ, Heyman calls him in, cashes in, and then Paul Heyman is now like the new lead heel manager, and he has the champion and it helps him with his promos. Because I think Seth Rollins has everything to be a star except the promos. And I think Paul Heyman could save it. And there's also a lot of rumors about Brock going back to the UFC.
Oh, I think I'd say definitely.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a betting man, so...
Yeah.
But yeah,
WrestleMania is kind of nebulous right now because there's a couple ways. I can't really clearly see it because there's several ways they can go. I mean, you got Roman Reigns, Cena, Heyman and Lesnar, and Rollins. I think I covered everybody all involved with it. So what the actual match is going to be, I guess we'll know more after Royal Rumble, but it'll be interesting to see. I sure as hell hope it is not Cena against Roman Reigns, and they tried to allude to it that it's like the Ultimate Warrior and Hogan and passing of the torch match.
That would be bad.
That would be horrible. But I can see that happening, and I don't know. It might be a tough 4 months to review Raw if that happens.
Yeah. It's hard times. All right, let's get the debate out of the way. First off, anyone who thinks that me and Rasslin Rantin are going to go at it, we've been going at it for a really long time, and my level of caring is pretty low. So a lot of people on Google Plus and that you're looking for me to be your hero, and I don't think I have it in me. So I just wanted to pre-warn you. Yeah, but I did promise I would do this with you on air.
Yes.
This is what we're calling Buried Gate. A long time ago, it feels like a long time, me and Rasslin had a debate over if who's the guy? This is bad. Bray Wyatt. If Bray Wyatt was buried or not. And I am under the impression of like, I don't know if he's buried, but he should be a lot better. But the internet infantry, half of them, or maybe more than half, are like, no, you fucking let Rasslin Rantin have it. And I'm like, I don't know. And I'm like, all right. I feel like I'm being pressured into a fight. Like, you go punch him in the face. I'm like, I don't know if that's a good idea. But
probably not.
I know that this is all I know, and I'm going to stay my piece. And Rasslin Rantin, you've heard it before, so it's like a recording.
Yeah.
I believe I was a bigger fan of Bray Wyatt, and when he lost at WrestleMania, as a fan, he wasn't as special to me. Now, people say win, loss, heel. We've been battling this for a while, but I did promise I would read this. This is on Kocosports wiki on Kocosports.net. It's sourced from Wikipedia. All right? And they want me to read the word buried to you word for word, and then you tell me if you think it's buried.
Yes, I've seen it from Wikipedia where people write in whatever they want. But go ahead and read it.
All right. All right. Burial/bury. The worked lowering of a popular wrestler's status in the eyes of the fans. It is the act of a promoter or booker causing a wrestler to lose popularity by forcing them to lose in squash matches. That's your advantage. Continuously. And/or, now this is where you come to a disadvantage, participate in unentertaining or degrading storylines. It could be a form of punishment for real-life backstage disagreements or feuds between the wrestler and the booker. And I don't think that's the case at all. I don't think that part is. The wrestler falling out of favor with the company, or the wrestler receiving an unpopular gimmick that causes them to lose credibility regardless of wins-loss records. Now, with it being read out there, because, and listen, if you find this boring, I apologize. You don't know how many people are coming to my house holding guns to my head and saying, read this. With me reading that from the Kocosports Combat Sports Wiki, from Wikipedia, do you think
from Wikipedia?
Do you think Bray Wyatt's being buried?
Well, everybody knows my answer on that. Bray Wyatt's not buried. Even from that definition, the only thing you could probably pull from it in relation to Bray Wyatt is a demeaning storyline.
Yeah.
Do I think that his storyline with John Cena was demeaning? Not really. And I have 2 points on this. So the first point is, here's my thing. 2014 Bray Wyatt, 4 feuds. Daniel Bryan, John Cena, Chris Jericho, Dean Ambrose. He won the Daniel Bryan feud. He won the Jericho feud, and recently he's currently winning the Dean Ambrose feud. He's 2-0 against Ambrose. The only feud he lost was John Cena, and there are people who say that's the only feud that matters. My point to that is, you guys are kind of reinforcing the John Cena being on the top guy, because if you're saying he's the only one that matters, we're kind of putting him in a position that we don't want him to be in, that he is relevant. I don't want him. To me, he's not relevant. To me, the feud wasn't relevant. So there you go. That's Bray Wyatt. He was just in the main event. He just won a main event. I talked to somebody last night who made me a bet to say that I had to say that Bray Wyatt was buried if he lost last night. He didn't lose. So
I made a silly bet. I thought John Cena was going to do the right thing at one time. Or no, I forget what the bet was, but I had to wear a Japanese baseball jersey on here.
Yeah, well.
So sometimes though, I don't know about you, but sometimes the fantasy sports and the funny bets make it a little more entertaining, especially when it's a dull time.
Yeah, it was entertaining for a while, and then it got kind of trolling, and then I kind of cut that conversation off. But here's my theory on this whole thing for Barry Gate, and I am myself kind of tired of talking about it, and it dovetails.
Right, can we wrap it up no matter what? Even if we disagree, can we just wrap it up after tonight?
Yes, this is it for Barry Gate. We won't bring it up anymore.
All right.
So here's my theory on why this is an issue, and it goes back to the core of wrestling. What is the core of wrestling? The core of wrestling is, from its inception, you have a heel and you have a face. You have a guy,
we're talking professional wrestling there.
Professional wrestling, yes.
I'm a combat sports nerd. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And I was like, oh, it means pro wrestling.
Pro wrestling. Pro wrestling. You have a heel and you have a face. The heel, at his core, is the person that you want to see lose and get his ass kicked. The face, at his core, is the person you want to see win. Where I think the problem with all of this stuff comes from right now is not a fault of the fans. It's a fault of the WWE and their poor stewardship of pro wrestling. And Ewok, who I didn't see in the comments today, Ewok and I were talking about this today online.
Yeah.
The way it is right now, WWE books completely backwards. So tell me, Dave, who does WWE book as their biggest face?
Are we talking about like the idea of what a face should be, or what WWE forces to be the face?
Yeah, well, WWE, they're booking a particular person.
They want John Cena to be the face and Roman Reigns without a doubt. But
yes,
if you're going with the definition of what a face then it would definitely be Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting to. So the WWE books John Cena as their number one face. However, who's the person who you want to see lose the most on the show?
John Cena, but
exactly. Which is my point, is that they book backwards. They have the biggest heel, who 65% of the fans, if not more, want to see lose, they book him as the biggest face when in actuality he's probably the biggest heel in the company. And it goes the other way too. Bray Wyatt, most people want to see him. A lot of comments I get are they want to see him win. He needs to win clean. He needs to win clean in the middle of the ring. And the definition of a heel and a face, a heel is not supposed to win clean. I mean, Bill Watts, and you guys can reference this with Bill Watts and J.J. Dillon, and I
want to make one thing clear. I agree with you, but I want it to be clear that this is American pro wrestling.
Yes, this is American pro wrestling. This is the tradition. The tradition of American pro wrestling has been that a heel is a guy that you don't like. You want to see him lose, and in order for him, and Bill Watts explains this better than I can, but in order for him to get an advantage and win over the face, he has to cheat or get some sort of disadvantage, like a camera blowing up in his face, a TV monitor blowing up his face, the NWO running into the ring, whatever it is. The only way a heel can win is for the disadvantage. Now, this is where I think it goes awry with WWE's booking. They have booked Bray Wyatt in that particular feud as the heel storyline-wise, but to some of the fans, they want to see Bray Wyatt win, which technically makes him the face in the thing, and they want to see John Cena lose clean, which makes him the heel. So the booking is totally backwards, and when you do that, the fans get confused because you're telling me I should cheer for this guy, but I don't want to. I want to cheer for that guy, and they feel like Bray Wyatt is a face. So when he doesn't win clean, or when he has to win by cheating, you know, the guy. Some people last night were like, "Well, he won because the TV blew up, and that doesn't count." I'm like, he's a heel. He's supposed to win, but to them, he's not a heel.
Yeah.
This is WWE's fault for booking it that way. It translates into why we don't understand how heels are supposed to work, why we don't understand how faces are supposed to work, because WWE is booking completely wrong on the whole thing. I think that's where a lot of this comes from, because I look at it from the storyline they're telling. Bray Wyatt is the heel. He's not supposed to win clean over John Cena. John Cena's the face. So that's how it goes.
And the reason I said American pro wrestling is because in pro wrestling, like it's Japan pro wrestling, like 5-10 years ago, maybe more. I'm old, but let's say 10 years. We'll round it to 10 years. About 10 years ago, I was like, "Oh, who's the good guy?" And they looked at me like, "The fuck are you talking about? They both want to win." And the Lucha, everyone's kind of a hero, and they don't book it so systematically. Like, if you hate, I'm just going to pick Yamato. If you hate Yamato, that's okay. And if you like Yamato, it's okay. So, international wrestling is done a lot different than American pro wrestling.
Yeah, but the WWE is an North American pro wrestling company, supposed to be, but they have muddied up the waters so much that the system that it's all built on, it doesn't work. It's confusing for the wrestlers. It's confusing for the fans. And the evidence of it is that we have debates like this. By that definition, too, the only other thing I can say is that, you know, the Four Horsemen were over like Rover and Jim Crockett.
Oh, man, I love the Four Horsemen, even as a kid.
Even as a kid, but they wouldn't. I can think of, and I can quote chapter and verse pretty much everything in pro wrestling, NWA, WWF from 1985 to 2001. I can, off the top of my head, remember one time during that Horseman run at the end of the 80s that Flair won a championship clean in a ring. I think it was Ron Garvin at 87 Starrcade. The Horsemen rarely ever won. Flair says the Horsemen, they never won anything. They got their asses kicked every day. They never won a match clean. They cheated all the time. When they won a match, it was from cheating. And basically, they were there to make the heroes look good. By the definition people are using, the Horsemen were buried, and we all know they weren't. So, yes, it was 30 years ago, but, you know, gravity's still gravity. Wrestling is still told in a particular way. Whether or not the storytellers are telling it that way, our minds are still perceiving it that way, being North American wrestling fans, and we're perceiving Bray Wyatt as face, John Cena as heel, but WWE's telling us John Cena's the face and Bray Wyatt's the heel, and everything gets confused. So that is my theory on the Bray Wyatt gate, buried Bray Wyatt gate. I care not to talk about it anymore because I'm going to believe what I believe. Yeah, case closed. I'm going to believe what I believe. You guys are going to believe what you believe. People are going to agree with me.
To be fair, to be a complete fucking weasel, if I could Bobby Heenan this, by the way, made it to the Combat Sports Hall of Fame, the Combat Sports Hall of Fame month on Kocosports.net. But if I could be a weasel after a plug, I never use the word buried.
Yeah, I know that. You never used the word bury. We were just disagreeing about John Cena having to beat or something about him beating Bray Wyatt clean or
Yeah,
whatever.
I believe in my heart of hearts, and I still believe this. John Cena should have done the right thing and put over Bray Wyatt. And then I think, face heel, okay, whatever. If John Cena, and granted, this is where we disagree, but I don't think I can't bend and break on this one. I think Bray Wyatt should have beat John Cena at WrestleMania, and then John Cena could have beat him for the rest of the fucking year.
Yeah, but you're seeing to my point. That's because you and a lot of us, we want to see Cena lose. We want to see Wyatt win, and that's why it's backwards. Because by that rationale, Wyatt should have been the face and Cena should have been the heel, and they've got it completely backwards. And
well,
they're going to
that's the fan point, but there's even a business part. Undertaker's old as shit. He looks like Doc from fucking Back to the Future. And Wyatt, he works a nice, safe style. He's completely over. And at WrestleMania, can you imagine the entrances he can do every year? I thought it was me, and they have a lot of faith in Bray Wyatt, obviously. I mean, Vince McMahon mentioned him 87 times in the podcast. If I was him, I would have him undefeated until I had no more faith in him. But that is just me. But as a fan, I was pissed. But also as a fucking former promoter / business wannabe douche nozzle, I was pissed.
Yeah, but you would never have a guy like John Cena in that position anyway. There wouldn't be a John Cena in that position because you wouldn't book like that. And that's true. His character is done more damage to wrestling because he's a heel. Whether that they book him, the Make-A-Wish, the colors, everything else, for 65 to 70% of the audience, he is the biggest heel in the company because of the fact that, again, the definition of a heel is the guy that you want to see lose and get his ass kicked. That's why SummerSlam works so well. He's a heel booked as a face, and it's the most backwards thing in the world. WWE's problem with this. None of the other wrestling promotions even have this problem. It's a WWE creation, so that's what I think about it.
And for people that think they do it on purpose, I'm just like, why would you make it? It's like when people say, oh, they're working you and it's done on purpose, I'm always like, I sit back and be like, well, at the end of the day, they're storytellers. Why would you mess up a story to trick the watcher / reader? That's the part I don't get. Like, if there's a twist and a turn, yeah, I understand. But to keep messing up, I don't get it. Like, there's good and bad writers, and trust me, I'm closer to a bad writer than a good writer. But at the end of the day, I want the product to be good. That's the part I don't get. Oh, it's all the work. How? The ratings keep going down. But that's another debate for another time. Let's get as many comments as we can because I'm leaving soon. Wrestling Rantin, you just cut me off. When do you go? Bullet Club Biggs, thank you, Wrestling Rantin. I shook my head at WWE for having them come out cooning and jiving. Razor Wolf, we would be lucky if they were the Freebirds, but the Southern Baptist thing is god-awful. Franielli, Dave, why do you think Cody Rhodes is a douchebag?
I want to hear the story, too.
All right, I think Cody Rhodes is a douchebag because I think, it's a great Gatsby quote. Don't judge someone unless you've been in their shoes. Dustin Rhodes, his brother, Goldust, is a gentleman. He has manners. He's a great actor. He has honor. Like, I cannot put over Dustin enough. He is the perfect son. Where Cody was given everything. And then, on top of that, I believe this from the bottom of my heart, and it's going to get me a lot of heel heat. Cody Rhodes would not be in the WWE today if it wasn't for his father. And a lot of people are like, oh, fuck you, he's great, he's great. Dude, look at his size. Look at his wrestling ability. Is he a great character? Is he a great actor? Without a doubt. Is he talented? Yes. Is he one of my favorite performers? Without a doubt. But without that last name, he doesn't even get looked at. He's not up there with Devitt. He's not up there with Steve. You know what I'm saying? So he wouldn't have a job. Then he goes on and buries Colt Cabana, who has no has no father in pro wrestling, has no family connections, and made a career for 15 years. And he's like, oh, if you're not gonna be a pro, I didn't know you. What was his quote? I'm gonna paraphrase it, but it's something along the lines of, oh, I didn't know you didn't have to be that successful of a wrestler to have your own podcast, because he was making fun of Colt. And then Colt called him out on it. And then my whole thing is, if you're wrong, man up to it. I've been wrong. I've been wrong on this podcast plenty. I've manned up to it. But he doesn't. He bitches out and he's like, oh, I'm not talking about that. But it was like right after the CM Punk interview. Then I'm like, okay, so who are you talking about? Then other podcasters asked him. He's like, oh, I'm not talking about that. So you got a job because of your daddy. Someone busted their ass and does an interview on a podcast that's making him money so that he can make a living in it, that his dad couldn't get him a job, and then you're going to poke fun at it. Then when you poke fun at it and people turn on you, you don't even have the fucking balls to say you were wrong. You're like, oh, it's not Colt Cabana. Oh, it's not this podcaster. It's not that podcaster. You were fucking lucky. You were born from the right penis. And with great penises comes great responsibility. Now,
in public, if you will.
Yeah. Now, and it's just Dustin would have never done that.
No.
Dustin is a man. Cody is a little boy. And I think Cody's a great performer. But that's why I think he's a douchebag.
Cool.
All right, moving on. Razor Wolf says, oh my God, Stardust versus Fighter Hayabusa. Take your motherfucking money. Razor Wolf, +5 for you. Quincy C, is Cesaro buried because he wasn't at TLC or tonight's Raw? Oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, Cesaro is buried. You'll get the B word from me on that because, well, you know why that is, because he commented that when they had
the John Cena
Orton, he said, who wants to see that on a radio show? So he's been in a doghouse ever since then.
Yeah. Quincy C. Is Cesaro... Oh, we already read that one. Sorry. Bullet Club Biggs. Joe Rogan is a grade A douchebag. You know what? I put Joe Rogan over, but I understand why people think he's a grade A douchebag. I think Joe Rogan is a grade A douchebag, but also a great guy. I think he walks a fine line. Like, if someone says he's a fucking grade A douchebag, I'm like, oh, I see those qualities in him. And then I say, oh, Joe Rogan's amazing. I see those qualities in him. So I'm kind of wishy-washy on him. I enjoy Joe Rogan, but he does some douchebaggy things.
I think I know who Bullet Club Biggs is now. I think that's Carlos Mencia.
Nice. Woo! I am spam. Razor Wolf is trying to get the spam bot. Sorry, you didn't make it. Oh, American a la carte. This is the cat I was talking about. American a la carte. If you're interested in being the YouTube thing, is he a part of your group of YouTubers?
No, he is not.
American a la carte. Message me somehow, some way. I'm on every social media ever, and within 24 to 48 hours, if you're interested in being part of our award show, that'd be awesome. I really like American a la carte, and he deserves a lot more subscribers. Go check him out. But let's see what he has to say. Hopefully he heard that. I'm always assuming that people are still listening.
Don't worry, I commented him to message you, so he'll get it.
Okay. John Cena kills any young star, and they would have made in the past years. And that fucking burns my ass. That's a great point, and I fucking hate him for that. Fred458. When first noticing they were gonna do an angle with Big E, Kofi, and Xavier Woods, did you think it would end up with a stereotype singing, rapping, and dancing? Boom Boom pooped his pants about it.
Yeah, he did.
I was hoping they were gonna do the Angerman group and replace Kofi with who's the YouTube sensation guy? Zack Ryder. I thought Zack Ryder or Dolph Ziggler. Like, if it was Big E, Xavier Woods, and then those two, or one of those two, I thought it would have worked out perfect, and they could have did the Angerman group. I think it's, especially in America, race relationships are at a fucking crazy peak right now as far as going crazy. And I think it made people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I wanted them to be to be just like normal brothers on the street, you know, and not. Now, that probably would get knocked, too, for being racist if they came out all hooded up and everything, but that's how brothers are. So I just wanted them to, for once, to get a black faction that looked like brothers I see on the street. You know.
And not only that, but I would like it where, I know this sounds bad, I love the Cleveland show, but they always make a joke where it's like, oh, Back in, the Cleveland show goes, oh, white people writing for black people. Ha ha ha. That's like a go-to joke to the Cleveland show.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind, an all-black storyline, but hire a black writer. Let them have creative control. It always seems racist and fake if, you don't have someone of the black community or Asian community helping you with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's just me. Especially like if it was just one writer, then you're like, oh no, it's his world, that's how he sees it. But WWE has a team. And I don't know. That's a great question. I don't have the answer to. But every time I saw WWE Creative, they were as white as fucking me. So I find that to be interesting. Because, like, one time I was booking, and we had this guy, Jose. I don't know if I should say his full name, but he did this gimmick where, like, we weren't interested in hiring him. And he's like, oh, dude, I'll do this funny-ass gimmick. And I was like, all right, what do you want to do? He's like, I'm going to be a white country guy, a cousin. And it got over. And then, like, he was getting tired of it. He's like, I'm a Puerto Rican great wrestler. I'm tired of acting like a fucking white hillbilly. And I'm like, all right, what do you want to do? And he's like, I'd like to do something about my heritage. And I was like, well, I know nothing about, being Puerto Rican or Puerto Rican heritage besides reading books and talking to Puerto Rican people. And I don't think that makes me an expert. So I was like, listen, I would like to do a Puerto Rican umaga. You just go back and figure out what that is, because I want to make you, because he was a big guy. I'm like, I want to make you a monster. You come in and destroy it. And that's how I dealt with that. But I don't think WWE is going to do that. I don't think they're going to go to Kofi Kingston and be like, hey, listen, I don't really know much about the black community, but you guys tell me what the black community does, and then we'll roll that character into it. I don't picture WWE having that conversation at all.
No, and they'd probably stay away. But the saddest thing about this is that the closest we ever got to a black faction, sadly enough, was the Outsiders. Because Hall and Nash, I mean, they stole liberally from hip-hop. I mean, I remember back at being in Baltimore Arena, they would come
Japan.
And Japan, that too. But their persona, they came out to, Ready or Not, from the Fugees at the house shows. And we were all like, yeah, we identify with you. And Kenta, by the way, I don't know if they're ever going to let him get his hood side in there at NXT, but it'd be nice to see that too. But back to the comments.
Yeah, because one thing that drives me, because Bullet Club Biggs asks a lot of questions. One thing that drives me crazy is two things that drive me crazy, and I normally don't go crazy over people saying stuff online like the buried thing or something. Like, oh, we just disagree. But two things that drive me crazy is the Bullet Club copied the NWO. I'm like, dude, if you know history, that's so stupid.
Yeah.
And then people that say Kenta, like, oh, Kenta's boring. He stole moves. Like,
well, at least the NXT universe knows that's not true.
Yeah. Man, that
was awesome.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Like, you don't have to say words. That was like the most awkward moment in YouTube history. Yeah.
Everybody knows what we're talking about. That was great.
Stillwell Play says, Pittsburgh Pirates, Steelers, and Penguins fan. I'm used to losing, but I'm a dedicated fan. Take note, bandwagon fans. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I'm a Ravens fan, so we already have problems. But it's all good.
I grew up in New Jersey, so I like a lot of the New Jersey teams, but I did when New Jersey went to Brooklyn, I was like, I'm not following you. And I love the Devils. But outside of that, I love all the Tampa Bay teams, just because I was a sports reporter there. And a lot of people are like, oh, how can you change? A lot of people are like, you grew up in New Jersey. How can you change? I'm like, I bought a house. I went to college and had a sports announcing career in Tampa. It's hard to be like, oh, I love the fucking New Jersey Devils. Hey, Marty St. Louis, can I get an interview? You know what I mean? It's kind of hard not to be a fan of a team that gave you so much. You know what I mean? And I was just in the Tampa Bay area. Much love to the Tampa Bay area.
Gotcha.
Bullet Club Biggs. I've never liked the New York Yankees. I've disliked them ever since I became a baseball fan. 1998. I'm a Red Sox fan. 1998. I'm old. He said that like it was a long time ago. American a la carte. At least Jimmy Jacobs got TV time on Raw. Jimmy Jacobs is a legend on the mic. Did I miss Jimmy Jacobs?
I think I did too. I missed that too.
Jimmy Jacobs was on Raw?
I didn't see that.
What?
I have to watch the replay.
If you can reply, I don't really. That's amazing. I didn't know that happened. Dude, I bet you it was that one time me and you both got up. I think he might have made a mistake and maybe meant someone else.
Oh, he was a Rosebud. Oh,
Was
wow.
he really?
Yeah, he was.
That is the most badass thing I've ever seen in my life. I gotta go back and see it. By the way,
Yeah, that's cool.
Jimmy Jacobs is one of the few people on the indies during my radio career that ended the interview, because there's two people, and one of them I made up with, D'Lo Brown. After the end of the interview, we got on the phone, because usually after the interview in radio, you go back around and then you talk to your guest.
Yep.
And two people from the wrestling world fucking threw me under the bus. And one of them forgave me later. One of them was D'Lo Brown. D'Lo Brown's like, I fucking hate you. I'm never going to work for you again. I'm not. Da, 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 da. And then it's so funny, like a week later, he's like, I overreacted. I know what kind of DJ you are. But the other one was Jimmy Jacobs. Jimmy Jacobs, like, if I fucking see you, I'm going to kill you. And I'm like, what? And because our gimmick was, if you sent us, like, we were on radio, and this nowadays it's not that original, but back then it was like, you send us a comment, we'll read it to the guest. And I'm like, you can just say no. You know, like, D'Lo Brown was mad because they kept asking him questions about ring rats. And I'm like, dude, you could just say no. You don't have to answer. I'm like, the gimmick is you come on, and people message us, and it was AOL. That's how old this was. I'm an old man. People message us on AOL, and we would read the comments. And we'd always ask them, be like, hey, listen, this is how it works. We read anything people send to us. Is there anything you want to ignore? And Jimmy Jacobs and D'Lo Brown, because some people are like, oh, I'm not going to touch that, I'm not going to touch that. And like, okay, I understand. You know what I mean? But yeah. Jimmy Jacobs and D'Lo Brown were like, no, nothing's off limit. I'm not scared. I'm like, all right, our audience is kind of a dick. You know what I mean? Like, I'm pre-warning them in prep. Then we go on the air, and fucking, yeah, D'Lo Brown's like, I fucking hate you. And Jimmy Jacobs was like, I hate you. I hope he fucking forgave me. I never met up with Jimmy Jacobs ever again. He still might fucking hate me. He probably has no idea who I am. But D'Lo Brown forgave me, like, in a while.
Well, he'll tell you now not to be a lemon. So there you go.
Yeah. Bullet Club Bigs, go Bolts. Bishop and Stamkos are carrying us to the playoffs. I hope you're right. I love the Tampa Bay Lightning are probably my favorite hockey. My favorite sports team next to the Tokyo Giants. I do love the Devils though.
Fernelli's gonna get it.
What's that?
Fernelli's about to get it.
Oh, Fernelli, this might get some heat with you, Dave. Uh-oh. But I'm going to lay it out here anyway. I am an Orton's fan. There, I said it. I regret nothing. Oh, Fernelli. There's a part of me that I'm so upset, but I'm also so proud. I imagine this is what it's like when your son tells you he's gay. You're happy, you're kind of upset because, you know, you're a white hillbilly that's like, I don't want my son to be gay. But then you're like, well, at least he stood up to me. Fernelli, we still love you. Welcome to the Internet Infantry.
Yes.
Bullet Club Bigs. I think Mad Genius is cool, besides the times where he starts acting like a smarky wrestling elitist because he watches the Indies International Wrestling. Besides all of that, he's cool as a fan.
Well, that's pretty much all of us wrestling reviewers anyway, so it's...
Well, I try not to be, but it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard because I try, like, to me, when I first came on, I was like, I'm a booker. I turned down a job at WWE. TNA didn't hire me but gave me a free weekend at Universal Studios. Most awkward interview ever. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to be like, dude, I've booked thousands of shows. I'm going to be a fucking cockhead about this. And then I went to YouTube and, like, checked out other people. And I was like, you know what? Fuck that. It's so stupid being a cockhead. But sometimes it's hard because, you know, you've been talking for like an hour, 2 hours, and someone will just rub you the wrong way. I try my hardest to treat the fans, that's even douchey right there. I try to treat people that comment as equals because I see people like, and they're like, this is the smartest show, I'm a genius. I'm like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, I work at fucking random fucking job A. I'm like, you're kind of fucking douchey. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I try to avoid it as much as possible until it gets to the point of somebody...
And sometimes we're only human. It becomes breaking. But when you start off the show saying how great you are, I think that's a bit douchey.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody tries to tell me something I know is blatantly wrong and incorrect, then I'm just kind of, no. like I said, I can cite chapter and verse a lot of things in wrestling history.
Oh, man.
And if you tell me something's wrong, oh, that's never happened before. Oh, actually, yeah, Hogan had a camera blow up in his face in '93 against Yokozuna at King of the Ring.
Yeah, that's something I'm bad at. Like, someone will be like, remember that pay-per-view 3 months ago? Like, I have no idea. Like, example, like, I went for Bound for Glory. I was basically ringside. There was 2 New Japan scouts in front of me, and then me. And, it was great. Dude, if you ask me right now what happened, I'd be like, I have no idea. But then again, I'm a concussion fool.
You're going to Wrestling Kingdom 9, right?
Yes. But I'm not going to be sitting that close. We got cheap seats because we're bringing the kids. So we're going to be – I don't think we're ever going to see us on television. But, yeah, I'm going to be at Wrestle Kingdom.
Well, I just want to know if you're doing your review that night. I'll
probably do what I did at TNA, where I'll sit in front of the Tokyo Dome with a camera or somewhere and just be like, here's my quick thoughts, and then I'll do a longer review, probably within 48 hours. Do you want to be part of a longer review?
No, I didn't know what time you were going to do it because I might be up for it, so I'll see. Well, I'll text you after the new year, after the award show. We'll talk about it.
I will probably, like I said, I'll do a short one right away just because, it's exciting. What did I think? What I didn't like I did with TNA. But TNA was weird because I didn't want to give spoilers. So I'll do that probably in front of it, but then I'll give a more detailed thing probably like 24 to 48 hours later just because I'm going to be with my friends and family. And, when I shot that in front of the Tokyo Dome, it was only my wife, and it was kind of awkward. But I'm going to have my kids, and I'm also going to have, 4 or 5 Japanese, I don't know why I say Japanese, it's fucking racist to me. 4 or 5 of my fucking pro wrestling fans with me, so I don't know how long it's going to be live. But within, 24 to 48 hours afterwards, I'm going to do a more detailed one.
Gotcha.
Razor Wolf says, damn it, Coco, I'm old. American Alucard says, Brock Lesnar's Leprechaun Dance. Razor Wolf says, what about Mario on the Vine? ? I'm sure that made sense in context.
Yeah.
Lennox Wooderson said, the show was painful to watch. I hope he's talking about Raw, because that really hurts. I'm glad to see Brock. Anytime Cena loses, I'm happy. Tie. I was going crazy when I saw Jimmy Jacobs. I'm so pissed I missed him. If anyone sees Jimmy Jacobs, she'd be like, hey, he probably has no idea who I am. But what if you go to him and be like, hey, Jimmy Jacobs, what do you think about that Kocosports guy? I'm like, I'm still looking for him to hunt him down and beat his ass. Like, all right. But my whole thing is, when you go on radio and someone says, hey, is anything off limits? You better say what's off limits. Because you can't, I was about to call you Razor Ramon because I saw the 2 RRs. But Rasslin Rantin, if I interviewed you and I was like, hey, listen, we're going to read anything that comes on air. Is there anything off limits?
Yes,
and
buried.
You say no. Then you can't be mad at me at the end of the interview. That's just like interviewing 101. All right, we got to wrap this up, so I'm going to read faster.
All right.
Would you rather get one punch in the same spot? Oh, my goodness. I don't know where this is going, but it made me giggle. Still will places. Would you rather get one punch in the same spot by everyone you know or one straight shot in the mouth by Lesnar's strongest punch? Oh, definitely one shot. Dude, I've been working in sports forever. Are you kidding me? There would be athletes around. Dude, Jimmy Jacobs alone would punch me 7 times. No. Everyone that you know? No, never in a million years. I know professional fighters and boxers. No way. I fear Lesnar, but
yeah,
no way. What do you think? What would you? I mean, ain't it obvious the Lesnar one?
Yeah, Lesnar.
Especially if you start meeting athletes and fighters. I met almost every UFC fighter. I've met almost every pro wrestler. I've met almost every major boxer. Athletes. No way. No. You'd rather punch? But hold on. Is it me? Everyone you know. But I know a lot of people. That doesn't count. That's tricky. I know, definitely Brock Lesnar. Because, that means, you know of them. And Mike Tyson doesn't know who I am, but I know Mike Tyson. No way. I'm taking Brock Lesnar all day. You didn't really think that one out. Razor Wolf says, good night, guys. And,
yeah, we're going long on this one.
Yeah. Alex the Sauce Boss. You want to end it with Alex the Sauce Boss, and then we'll leave comments in it, because I got to go.
Yeah.
Let's end it on Alex the Sauce Boss.
Yeah.
Any comments after Alex the Sauce Boss, the one I'm going to read now, there's probably a lot because I haven't refreshed, and I do apologize. Any comments after this, I will go in and answer them. I'll beg Rasslin Rantin to do the same thing. And if it's a good enough question, and I wish I could phrase that better. Maybe me and Rasslin will do it. Me and Rasslin Rantin will do a show just on those questions. Maybe me and Rasslin Rantin will do a Stump the Idiot. So if you want to leave questions, leave it for us. And maybe me and Rasslin Rantin later this week, we'll do a Stump the Idiot because we haven't done a Stump the Idiot in forever, and people are losing their shit over it. I apologize. But yeah, this will be the last comment, and I know we've probably missed a bunch. Did we miss a bunch? Have you refreshed?
Let me see.
Right.
No, I think everybody went to bed.
Good deal.
Quincy C left a while ago.
All right. Alex the Sauce Ball says, I don't like either Lesnar or Cena for WrestleMania in the main match. I agree with that.
Me too.
I want to make a couple announcements. Let me go first because your announcements are bigger. One, me and my son have started a Let's Play. Listen, don't be a dick. He's only 8 years old. But if you want, go check it out. It's fathers versus sons. We play games and then we rate them. It's Punk and Cheese. I'm asking the more gentle members of the internet infantry to go over there and check it out. If you're a dick, you can be a dick on Kocosports all day long. Don't be a dick on Punk and Cheese. But yeah, we have a YouTube channel called Punk and Cheese where we play video games. Boom Boom is doing an award show. We do the Triforce every year, and you motivated Boom Boom. The Triforce usually was just 3 people, and now he's like, well, if Rasslin Rantin can do ratings, so can we. And I'm like, oh, because we did the Triforce for like over 10 years now. So we're going to do it. Boom Boom did a show where he's asking for nominations because he wants the 3rd member to be the internet infantry. Rasslin Rantin, why'd you put this idea in his head?
Well, I'm sorry. That damn ambition.
It's okay. And what else? It's Hall of Fame month on Kocosports.net. Just check it out. And also, there's the YouTube Wrestling Awards, but Rasslin Rantin can explain that more. Rasslin Rantin, tell them where they can find more of you, the awards, and have your last little spotlight. This stage is yours.
Going quickly, here we are. Rasslin Rantin, we do review shows much like Kocosports, but a little bit differently. We have pictures and images. Of course, I don't show my face. However, until the end of the year, I'm allowed to. So things are going to change pretty soon.
Ooh, hold on. You can't just say that without a story. Is that an off-air story?
No, it's not an air story. I'm allowed by contract now. I can be associated with other things.
No. I didn't know you worked in entertainment. That's all you need to know. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I remember I had to sue a radio station for my social media accounts. Dude, some of those contracts you sign are horrible, especially when you're younger.
Yeah. It was for education, but it's all good now. So we have Rasslin Rantin on Twitter, twitter.com/Rasslin Rantin with 3 S's. There you can find all of my tweets, all of my flame wars, and everything else that I have during the week. Plus, we have our YouTube channel, which I'll link in the comment section. This week, we are going to be talking about heels, kind of a continuation of this topic about heels in the old days and the way heels are now and how things have changed over the years. And we will finally be going back to our retrospective reviews and doing a retrospective review of the very first WrestleMania, as we are now in 1985 for our retrospective reviews. The award show, Year in the December 31st, New Year's Eve, hosted by myself, Dave, and Booms at Coco over there. We're going to have other vodcasters like Wrestling for All and Steel Cage and other people who are going to be presenting awards throughout the show. You, yes, you can vote right now. If you haven't done so, you can go over to my Rasslin Rantin channel, get the link on there. It's on SurveyMonkey. You can vote for all the categories. Just as a hint right now, Dave, you're going to be upset about this, but if you don't like the fact that Daniel Bryan's title chase is currently way in the lead for Storyline of the Year, you should vote now. You should vote now it is way ahead. You should vote now on our poll. But yes, again, go to twitter.com/Rasslin Rantin, 3 S's, find the link, vote now, and we will have the results on New Year's Eve. So with that, I send it over to Dave. Thank you, Internet Infantry, for listening to me tonight, asking me some really awesome questions, and no fighting with me and Dave. We disagree, but we're friends, so it's all cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so go over there. And one thing that I'm getting a lot of complaints for, this is multiple shows that are doing this, and they're still writing. You know, so, like, a lot of people are like, how could you put that up there for that award? I'm pretty sure I only put up, like, 1 or 2 awards. I think Wrestling Rantin hates me for that fact. But it's a bunch of YouTubers, and there's a write-in. What is it with you Americans? You're afraid to write in votes. Don't be afraid, homie. Let's see. What else? Oh, yeah. Internet Infantry title. It's officially over, and the best part is John Cena lost the last night of the title. So the 2015 Kocosports Internet Wrestling Champion is, what member of the Shield was it? Seth Rollins. And I had last pick, and you're going to call shenanigans. But I'm going to give myself a Barry Horowitz. I won the Kocosports Fantasy Wrestling League. I feel like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from last pick to first place. I just want to thank Forsaken for dealing with that. Once again, Hall of Fame month on Kocosports.net, voting for Wrestling Rantin. Plus, go check out his channel and everything that Wrestling Rantin's doing. He's part of the Internet Infantry family. And Pumpkin Cheese. If you want to see me, my baby, and my son play video games, father versus son, it's a lot of fun. Just know that I'm going to be a lot more lenient on you being an asshole here than there, because it's my son's channel. So, you want to say pumpkin cheese? Say pumpkin cheese! Yeah, my son, baby Leonardo, absolutely loves it. All right. Check out Wrestling Rantin. Check out Kocosports.net. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you, Wrestling Rantin. Thank you, live viewers. Thank you, Internet Infantry. Thank you, Forsaken. Thank you, Giants hat that makes me look weird. All right, I think we're done. Thank everyone. Wrestling Rantin, let's talk when we get off the air.
All right.
Go to Kocosports.net! And with that, I am over. Bum, 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 ba-dum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.